What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 201. We are back from our break and our 200th celebration with your normal weekly cadence and episode here. And I am joined by this illustrious panel. So I will start with the dapper Socrates himself in the modern era, Tie Guy Travis. Good morning, sir.
McClunky.
I want to see you in a toga with a tie. That's what I want.
That
There you
sounds
go.
like hard to pull off, but if anyone can,
You can do it. You can do it, Travis.
Yeah, that's a new fashion style you could kind of bring into the modern era. So
Or just a tie.
I think when you start asking for Travis to just wear a tie, we go into a different area.
Yeah. this is now fanfic.
Only if the camera is up a little more and only shows his head, then we're good.
Right. Didn't say where.
We'd know, though. We'd know.
Yeah. Of course, to his right on your screen is my favorite and your favorite YouTube pundit, Mr. Rick Hogue.
I'm not going to live that one down, am I? How are you guys
doing?
doing?
Your reaction was like you had already forgotten about that. It's just been so crazy.
Honestly, in internet land, YouTube pundit and all that stuff is like 17 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Yes, you've been a busy man this week. Busy man, but good busy. Good busy.
Very good busy.
Yeah. And of course, last but not least, the man, the myth, the seven himself, Mr. Rodriguez. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I'm here. What are we doing?
Yeah, and always announces his here-ness. I love it.
Beautiful.
That's all I got these days. Sometimes I feel like you guys know Carl Pilkington. That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great show, by the way. The Idiot Abroad, is that what you're talking about?
It's an amazing show.
Yeah.
You should really check out. There's like a HBO Max Ricky Gervais show where they just talk to him and he just...
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like 3 seasons. Go binge it.
Yeah, Dan, you have the energy of somebody who's streaming from his car.
I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of.
Yeah,
I've had some moments. So.
I don't. That's a great reference, Travis. I don't know if any of you are watching the Depp versus Heard stuff, but they had the wildest deposition I've ever seen, where they've got a video deposition of a apartment clerk, somebody that mans the desk, that he could only give in his car while vaping.
I saw that.
And starts to drive during the deposition.
How is that legal? That's crazy.
No, none of that. None of that is legal. The deposition ends. The judge says, "Well, that was a first." But he was the best because he's just like, I don't want to be given this deposition. These are two rich people that are fighting. I don't want to say it. No. And he's just vaping, sitting in his car. Anyway. I can see how Dan gives off that vibe. But everybody loves him.
Welcome to the future, man.
There you go.
I feel like Dan should vape. I don't think he does, but I feel like he should. Like it would fit with everything else. So
see what I can do.
Oh my god!
I don't need him doing anything else during the show, please. So
I have a cigar on occasion.
Yeah, didn't we have an episode where we talked about people vaping in party chat and that noise that it makes?
Yes, yeah, we did. But anyway, it is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of you out there and to your mothers. Little known fact, I came from a mother. And I am very appreciative of her, and I'll be talking to her shortly. But yes, we talked if we were going to do the show, and of all people, Travis is the one who actually realized that we were doing a show on Mother's Day. None of the three of us with wives realized that we were doing a show on Mother's Day. So, bravo, sir.
Yeah.
Travis did say, "Hey, that's Mother's Day. Are we doing a show?" Yeah.
I'm like the orphan kid chimney sweep walking through the streets, going, "Boy, I wish I had a mother." And that's why I remembered that it was Mother's Day. So
I doubled down on it and got tickets to see Doctor Strange, which she cannot stand, for everybody but her. So we're going after this.
That's a good
That's its own Mother's Day gift. Yeah.
I told her, I was like, now you can relax. Like, I'll order you a coffee and you can just sit here with the dog.
Just take everything away from the mother and let her be. Yeah.
Honestly, that's how Mother's Day and Father's Day often roll in Hogue House. What can we do to not have kid requests? Honestly, so it's kind of funny that way. But yes, no, definitely. Thanks to my wife for letting me do this for a couple hours here on Mother's Day. Thanks to my mom, who may or may not be watching. She prefers some of my other coverage over the video game stuff, but it's cool, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
But yeah, so we're going to be talking today about a few things. We got an Xbox outage we're going to touch on. We have the summer game show schedule we'll talk through, along with our most anticipated games this fall that we know of anyway. We've got a new Call of Duty and Warzone coming this fall, and Square-Enix made another peculiar move, which we will touch on. But first, a couple things. I want to say very big thank you for episode 200 last week. Had a lot of fun doing that. A lot of great response, a lot of comments, a lot of feedback on Twitter and the social space. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. So we did get a question this week from Mr. Eric Bazanson, otherwise known as Game Positive, who is a contributor to Season Gaming. And he just reached out and asked us this question yesterday, which I actually had to think about, which is, what is your favorite game, exclusive game, that you like on your least played console?
Does that mean like currently?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
currently
okay,
we're not going back generation.
Because we're not playing Dreamcast very much this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not playing any of that.
So for me, it's a Switch. I barely touched my Switch ever. I think last year I played Metroid Dread, finished it, and that's the only game I touched and played all year, I think. But I would say for me, on the Switch, it would probably be kind of the core Nintendo experience, right? The Mario. I did buy the Mario 3D World last year, Metroid, and I'll give a shout out to Luigi's Mansion 3, which is an incredible game and one of my favorites on that platform too. So that would be mine. What about you guys?
That game is rad.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I misunderstand the question, but when I think of my history with games, I think the least played console that I have with that history was probably the GameCube for me. But it had one of my favorite games of all time in Eternal Darkness. I don't know if that's responsive or not, whether we're sticking to the modern generation or not. But if you haven't played Eternal Darkness and you can find a copy and a GameCube, more power to you on both those things. Real good work. But you'll have a blast playing that game.
That is it's like a cult classic nowadays.
Yes, I hate that. I always feel less hip when other people find those things. So this is just between you and me, viewers. All right, you don't have to make it a bigger thing. It's excellent.
I'm pretty sure that game's worth money now too. I'm pretty sure.
See,
like if you have a hard copy, obviously, which is the only way you could have it. So
now I have to sound like one of those guys in like with the old '70s rock band shirts. Be like I bought it on day one. I was there first. Come on now.
Yeah, mine's gonna be on the Switch for sure. I mean, I don't think I even played it last year. The last game I really played on it was Fire Emblem, which is probably one of my favorite Three Houses. It's probably my favorite exclusive there, maybe next to like Astral Chain, which I loved.
Yeah,
not a lot of people did, I know, but I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah. Sometime off stream, I'm going to have to talk to you about why you like that game. I'm very interested in that.
Fire Emblem or Astral Chain?
Astral Chain. I mean, Fire Emblem is just Fire Emblem. They're all the same. Yeah, but Astral Chain, I'm interested in. Yeah,
it was just a new mechanic. I think it reminded me of. I mean, it was Platinum Games, right? So I mean, I'm a huge fan of them anyway. But there's a few of them there that Switch is by far my least played console. I mean, somehow I had 240 hours on it, and I realized it was all my kids playing it with Animal Crossing last year. So
you're just gonna tell me he was watching YouTube clips or
no, that's what they
Netflix or whatever on the thing.
I wonder if does that count? Because maybe it.
Yeah, no, it does count. It does count your app usage. Hulu, whatever. The Switch ones, they count in hours.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that'd probably be mine for sure. I mean, I don't even know where mine is. To be honest with you, right now, I have no clue.
We play the Switch much more than both of you.
Yeah, I barely touch it. Our Eternal Darkness, by the way, goes for about $100 on eBay. Wow. Yeah, GameCube games are they're starting to really escalate now. Yeah,
I'll go collect
game preservation
box.
Travis, let's go. Don't give me a 10-minute spiel about why you can't answer this question.
No, I can answer this question. Well, first of all, let's just be clear. You didn't answer the question, Ains. You did not. You gave like 5 answers. Okay.
Luigi's Mansion 3. That's what I said.
Okay. There we go. Finally got it out of you. Second of all, you guys are all Nintendo haters, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. My least.
I said GameCube. Oh, for Pete's sake!
Yeah. Also, Hope didn't answer the question too. He said GameCube, which was not a.
No, wait a minute. Let's go back to the question format, Ains. I'm positive I'm within the wheelhouse. I was just trying to be.
He said modern console.
Did he say modern console?
He did. Did you not, Ains? You said modern console.
I think I asked
not-
that question.
No, give me the link to the question. We're going to adjudicate this.
Yeah, let's do this. We're in a
Ains,
room,
this is what I'm
room
here
full of
for.
lawyers.
All right,
Let's do it.
hold on. We'll get an official.
Travis wishes he went to law school like every day of his life, so
That's
he's ready
true.
to fight me.
We're getting the
Let's do it.
official. This is how it was worded from
All right.
Eric himself. What is your favorite exclusive game on your least favorite / played gaming console?
I'm right.
All right. Well,
but
Ains
Dan
added
did ask,
I
do
did
you mean
preface it.
current or not current? And we said current. So you're both kind of right in a way.
There we go.
Mhm.
Anyway, I do have an answer to this question, which is my least played current console is the Oculus Rift 2. And the Oculus Rift 2 has lots of good games, but it is certainly my least played because I don't play a ton of VR. I wish I played more. I just don't play as much. So my favorite games on that, I'll do an Ains method and tell you a bunch of them, but you should play I Expect You to Die 1 and 2. Vader Immortal is a great series on that. And there's other ones I'm forgetting that I'll probably regret later, but probably my favorite game on that console's got to be I'll go with I Expect You to Die. I think it's super underrated if you guys have never played it. It's basically like a James Bond game.
I just wish the scenarios were longer, but I love that game.
It's not a horror game.
Oh no. It's a one locus escape room game.
Yeah. It's basically like that scene in James Bond movies where like he hooks him up underneath a laser beam and over a shark pit or whatever. It's just scenarios like that where you're like stuck in situations and you have to use logic to like get yourself out and break free. And then you just do it again, just different scenarios every time. So it's a very cool, unique idea for a game that doesn't require you to move around a lot, which is super nice if you don't have a huge space for VR. And it's very clever. It also has one of the best opening credit scenes ever, which is like very theatrical, and it has like a theme song and stuff, a James Bond-esque theme song. So highly recommend that series if you haven't checked it out. But there's a lot of great experiences on VR that a lot of people never play because VR is understandably kind of a big to do. It's irritating to get into. But
all right. Well, my wife bought the Rift 2 recently, as I said. I was playing some Beat Saber, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, there are some good games on that console. So
There's
Beat Saber obviously being one of them.
Yeah. Vader's got a lot of awesome, cool stuff. Vader is really good if you just want to feel like you're in Star Wars for a while. Vader's
so good. So good, yeah. Cool. That's the other game I would recommend. There's a trilogy of Vader games.
At the end said,
I mean, it's like they're like 10 minutes long each, So
they are.
They're super short.
That's sort of from the era where VR games were like super gimmicky.
Yeah, I mean that's the same as the Batman Arkham VR to me. It's like this really cool. You're in the space, and to me that's like it's a Disney ride of a game, but it's very impressive.
Yeah. Gotcha. By the way, Jacob Novik says, I don't know why the fact that Travis falls asleep while playing Diablo got stuck in my head. He's only said it once.
You know what?
He definitely did say it, though.
I did say it.
I did say it, and I stand by it. It's absolutely true. And there's another game that keeps making me fall asleep. Cyberpunk. Weirdly, I fall asleep during that game all the time. Why? Is there just so much downtime that I'm just falling asleep?
Have some kind of, I think you have some kind of thumping reaction, like it's the hits in Diablo and like the thumping music in Cyberpunk.
You know what I think it might be? I think it's that when I get to recreational games I play recreationally, I get to those at like midnight because my day is so busy, and then by the time I get to like the games I want to play, I'm like, oh, I want to sleep on the couch. So I don't know, man.
Well, I hear that because if Ains does wind up asking what we played this week, I think for the first time maybe in my memory, I would have to say I have played no game since I last appeared on this channel.
You didn't play a game this week?
I didn't play a game this week. I don't think I've ever been able to say that.
Fired.
Wow.
I followed the news, but no, I don't think I played a game this week, and I apologize.
But you created content for like how many hours this week?
I was on streams for maybe 65 hours since the 200th episode.
That's wild.
Wow. Hogue is a fake gamer girl. You heard it here.
I'm gonna get that. Yeah. No, I think
Find a hot tub this week.
Yeah.
48. I think it's 48 and then 8 and then 10. So
He
yeah,
didn't play any games, but he did make some really nice bath water that you can buy right now on his website.
The one platform I haven't been on is Twitch. So
Nice.
Too funny. All right, well, okay. So Rick hasn't been playing anything good. Travis, you playing anything good?
I haven't played anything bad.
Yeah, I'm playing lots of stuff. Some of it I can't talk about. My review went live this week on Trek Diomi, which I have not played for like a month, but I did review that game. I got it super early in advance. And
what do you think overall? Because I was hearing mixed reviews, but I didn't see yours.
Yeah, mine. I gave it a 7 out of 10, which is good.
The Dan rating, yeah.
Yeah, the Dan rating. Basically, my justification is that everything about the game's like style and delivery is beautiful. I think the story's pretty good. I think the presentation is fantastic. It just looks great. It makes you feel like an old samurai movie. But the combat is very let's call it quaint. It's just minimalistic and sort of repetitive. It doesn't evolve too much, and so it doesn't do the game part of the game super well. But everything else, the fact that it's only a 5-hour game, it doesn't really bother you that much. You spend the first hour getting good, and then 4 hours just like destroying everything, and then the game's over. And it's an enjoyable time, but not
like an art piece.
Yeah, don't run to it. If you have some time on Game Pass, you can beat it in an afternoon, and it's definitely worth playing. But it's not like it's not going to blow you away, probably, especially
Sifu or Yomi.
Probably Sifu.
Sifu's
Well, it depends what type of game you're into. Sifu's long, and Sifu's also a sweat fest, whereas this is the exact opposite.
They added difficulty buttons. They added difficulty buttons for Sifu.
Yeah, they made it pretty much now. Yeah, but it's a great
interesting.
Game. All right. Now we're talking.
They did, Dan. No, they literally did. They did it for people like me. What you were asking for when we were talking about Sifu, and you said you'd try it if it was less. What did you say, Travis? Sweaty.
Sweat Fest. Yeah, I believe
Sweat Fest. Okay.
Yeah. Sweat Fest 2022.
Yeah, I had the honor this weekend of trying to read through chats that use internet slang, and they would come out as like Ely, fur. And real. And I had exactly. And I had people be like, Rick, that's for real. Oh, it's not fur. I'm trying to make sure I'm up on my.
Yeah. You like how I knew that? See, I'm still young. I'm not aged out on the link.
You're barely the same thing. As long as we're firing people, I'm not even sure he's seasoned. I don't.
Yeah, that's true. Partially seasoned.
Partially seasoned. You need to change his Chiron to partially seasoned.
Seasoned Socrates. I may be younger, but the amount of games I've played, pretty up there.
Yeah, no,
I've played a lot of games.
You're almost certainly at or above my experiences, even though I have plenty of them. Now, yours might be all god awful games that have been assigned to you by an IGN editor. I don't know.
Just the last 2 years have been bad games. Before that, I was playing some great ones.
The most read IGN editor, was that right?
Yeah,
you getting read a lot.
Yeah. I'm getting. Not only am I part of it is because I'm producing more content than
people need to know where to direct their hate tweets.
That's right. But yeah, it's been good.
It's good. By the way, I being the degenerate physical collector I am, I canceled a Sifu Vengeance edition. They came out with a steel book and art book, collector's edition. I canceled one of those a couple weeks ago because I was like, I only need one, and 2 still showed up. So apparently, I ordered 3 at some point in time and completely forgot about it.
I canceled one and
send one over my way, and to be happy to take it.
I actually would too. We could talk in private chats. I'd probably buy that off you. I really like Sifu.
Nice.
Yep, sitting right there if you want one. Yep.
Other games I've been playing for fun: Rogue Legacy 2. Ames, I saw your review on that.
Did that come out? This is how up on news it came out this week.
It came out. It's on Game Pass.
No.
No.
Not on Game Pass.
How am I playing it?
That was a roller coaster for me.
I don't know, but it's not on Game Pass.
Okay, I don't know how I'm playing that game though.
Travis has an IGN code, and he forgot he put it in one day.
No idea how I'm playing that game. All right, well. That game I've been playing a lot. I'm almost done with it. I haven't had a ton of time to put into it, but it is super addictive. I'm like,
that
I think
means
I'm
it's
at
on the
the final
Xbox.
boss.
I mean, if you even thought it was Game Pass, it's on the Xbox. Okay.
It's on the Xbox.
Xbox and PC. Yeah, it's $25.
I am so in on Rogue Legacy 2.
So good, so good. I've been working my way through Cyberpunk when I'm not napping through it. Destiny, Halo Infinite Season 2. Check that out a little bit. Haven't had a ton of time to put into it. I suck at Halo right now. It's really unfortunate.
I wanted to chat with you guys about Halo Season 2 because it's in the news, and I love your guys' take on it. I'm not playing it.
Yeah, I'll touch on it. Real quick, Travis. Sarko asked if you landed a decent in. I don't know what this is. The title SMG and D2 Guardian games.
I did not. Yeah. So the title, a very confusing title for a gun, is the title. If you ever want to make somebody confused, name a gun the title.
This is like Untitled Goose Game all over again.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's a title.
And you know what else is messed up is that titles are a thing in Destiny. You can earn titles, and so
the little things that go under your name, right?
Yep, exactly. And so
what are you doing?
There's titles that have their own titles, and then there's also titles for
reviewing
guns.
you, Bungie.
That's right.
This is why the Federal Trade Commission is interested. That title gun goes out, and the Federal Trade Commission goes, "Whoa, something's wrong there. You got to get in on that."
Yeah, so I have been playing Destiny's Guardian games, which for those of you who don't know is a yearly Olympics competition where each of the character classes face off against each other to determine which one is supreme. And
where they pre-pick the winners and they hard code them in, and then the people
that seems to be it because the first year was Titans and then Hunters and now Warlocks, and they always are runaway victories, which is really confusing. But anyway, that's happening right now, and he's asking if I farmed a good roll for that gun, and my answer is no. I got a couple bad ones, but I haven't had time to really go hard, as the kids say, on grinding.
As the kids say. Yeah, I'm so out of the loop.
Travis just picks what age he is and what his experience is for whatever the funny is. He just likes to frame himself as contradictory either direction.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Halo Season 2.
Yeah.
So
I want to hear about it from you. I've actually been really interested in hearing about this from you guys.
Well, I think as with many things in life, right, it comes down to your expectations. And I've seen a lot of people who were disappointed with Season 2. I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying the content because obviously, as close to Halo as I am, I knew exactly what I was getting ahead of time, right? So there's a couple new maps. Both maps are excellent. There are a couple new modes, including Last Spartan Standing, which is this 12-player kind of mixture of mini battle royale with gun game. If you're familiar with Call of Duty gun game or Gears gun game, where as you level up, you get different guns. It's kind of a mixture of that. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I already finished the event, all 10 levels of the event, and I'm already level 23 on the battle pass, 24. So I'm already a quarter way through it in a week. I did not buy any levels. That's all just playing. I've played a lot of Halo this week. Last night I did a stream going for Onyx rank in Season 2. I hit Onyx last night at midnight.
Nice.
So just being
better than me at that game.
Yeah, I just been getting sweaty with Pampa, who's in the chat. Him and I have played ranked for 5 days straight for hours. So just getting real sweaty back with Halo. But I am really enjoying it. I will say that, and if you missed it, I don't usually promote other shows, but Joe Stoughton was on Kind of Funny Gamescast, Xcast, an interview where he talked about kind of expectations and things that are coming in Season 2, which you can check out. It's about 15-20 minutes long of an interview, maybe a little more. But the nice thing here is that the launch of Season 2 with the Battle Pass is what it is. There's not a ton of content, but there's enough to kind of refresh it if you like Halo, like me and others, of course. And they have a lot of stuff coming during Season 2. I actually think, and we're going to talk about this briefly or shortly, but I actually think we're going to get a surprise Halo announcement at E3 or their showcase that's coming. So
interesting.
An announcement of what? I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that they're going to announce that the Battle Royale, the full Battle Royale mode that Certain Affinity is working on, is going to launch this summer in kind of a 1.0 or MVP mode or early access mode, whatever you want to call it. Because, we can talk more about it. I don't have to jump to it right now.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Because there's more.
Tell I didn't get to see the roadmap while I come flying into the pre-show. I apologize.
Well, they show this roadmap, right, with season 2 and even season 3 later this fall, and it has events in like launch happen now. It has events in May. They have events in July, and literally nothing in June. And I'm like, there's no way you go 6 weeks without a single thing happening.
Particularly June.
Especially June.
Which even with the explosion of E3 and the crater that it has left behind is still in our heads June for video game news.
Yeah. So there's definitely something coming. But anyway, they did introduce a few weird bugs in season 2.
That's part of why I saw it in headlines. That's why I was curious if they were really that
maddening.
Big deal? Okay.
Maddening. There's one, and this is a shooter, a competitive shooter, keep in mind, right? There's one where you'll pull your trigger a bunch of times, like burst, like your battle rifle or pistol or whatever, and it'll go like shot, 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 nothing, shot, shot. And like
intermittent gun jams, I believe is what it was described as. And so, it's like, that can't be.
No, it's frustrating to all hell because like it's very precise Halo, right? Especially ranked. And like you'll go like break shields and you go for the kill shot for the head and like nothing. Like it doesn't shoot.
Oh no.
And then you die. And you're like,
that's more realistic.
Yes, it's the Far Cry 2 update.
Yeah.
Take the malaria pills and the guns sometimes don't work.
There's also a weird one they only mentioned that I don't think people realize are happening, but grenades can double explode. So a grenade will land and it'll go boom, boom. And in Halo, grenade damage is very significant. And so
I support this bug.
So sometimes you'll hear a grenade ding, 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 and you think you're just gonna, get hurt or lose your shield, and it's just like you're dead. And it's like, oh my God, this is driving us crazy. So
how does that happen on a content update? I know game development's hard. I know.
Well, the gun jam they said is because there was an exploit, which I've seen, where people can auto fire basically like the pistol. So instead of like click, 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 it's like, and it just will kill you.
Yeah.
So they introduced an anti-turbo basically.
Oh, it's the response to the first injury. Okay.
It's usually how it goes. You fix one thing, break two things.
Exactly.
All right.
So the community, there's a lot of the community pretty upset right now. And then they also, if you're really into Halo, the pro scene, they've removed some of what they call the skill jumps around the map. So there's these unique things you can do where you can jump off geometry, right, into certain locations. And the pros use them extensively in their games. And 343, without announcing it as part of this update, removed a bunch of those. So like people were logging on the stream and play their high level ranked games and suddenly things aren't working. And so there's a lot of frustration with 343 right now. But I think that high level frustration rests with, a very small percentage of the community, but it's a very vocal percentage of the community that has a lot of influence. So
I'm getting Destiny flashbacks all over the place. This is like
very similar. Very similar. So anyway, that's enough on Halo specifically, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But I'm a Halo stan, you know that.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much all I've played all week.
Yeah.
You were the first person I wanted to talk to about it because there were headlines that are like, this is a good thing. They're moving in the right direction. And there are headlines like, Bungie should be killed and drawn and quartered. And I'm like, oh, I got to talk to
343. Hopefully not Bungie.
Yes, not Bungie. Well, honestly, on the internet, somebody probably did say that.
Probably.
To be clear. But 343. So
yeah, I've seen a lot of comments, Hogue. I don't know if you've seen this, that PlayStation now owns Halo. Have you seen that? Because they acquired Bungie. I keep seeing that everywhere, and
when you say that in the past tense, even that Bungie not presently owned by PlayStation or Sony.
Correct.
So
yeah,
even
exactly.
that isn't real. But yes.
Anyway, that's hilarious. From my perspective, I have not put a ton of time into it, but I'm actually impressed by what they've delivered. Obviously,
Good.
6 months. 6 months is too long. Yeah, 6 months is too long, and the fact that season 3 is another 6 months away is concerning. I don't think it'll keep people engaged for that amount of time. But I will say, for a first shot at an update, 3 new modes, the new map that they added, I think they did pretty well. At least for me, they gave me a reason to log back in because, again, the goal of a game as a service is not to get you playing every day forever, indefinitely. It's to get you to come back and play the new stuff. And for me, it accomplished that. And I think if they can continue to deliver that quality of content, the game will have lulls and it'll have spikes, and that's the model, right? That's what you want.
I want it to be good because I like Halo. I want to play it some more. I think I'll probably be checking back in whenever they announce what their single player system goals roadmap is going to be. Not even when it releases, just the notion of, okay, this is what it's going to do. That'll at least pop my head back in. So maybe something like that could come in June as well. Just to
Yeah,
hey,
there
you know,
is
you
a
guys-
story in multiplayer, which I was surprised about. Yeah.
I hate that so much.
I mean, it's separate from the single player story though, so it's not like you're missing anything. But
yeah, maybe like 343 has had a tendency to say, hey, you don't need to watch the show and read the books and do all this stuff. You can follow it just fine. And I found that to be often not true. So we'll see if they're like, you don't need this multiplayer narrative. Doesn't have to do with the campaign. And then campaign chapter 1 is actually, well, after the events of whatever the hell happened in multiplayer. It's like,
yeah, we'll see. But there's some good stuff in there. To Travis's point, they brought back a couple other modes. The new King of the Hill is really good. So there's quite a bit. And Joseph Stoughton, he alluded to quite a bit of content coming during season 2. So I think we talked a couple weeks ago that even though it's 6 months, which is disappointing, everyone agrees. Even 343 agrees, because he said it specifically that there's more content coming during season 2 than there was season 1. It's not just like a flat update that then doesn't get touched for 6 months. So,
yeah. Well, good. I'm happy to hear it moving forward. I think that's that you can kick my ass at Halo at some point after they tell me what they're doing with the single player stuff.
Yeah, we'll jump and play some big team. That's what we do when we get a bunch of people on. Just play big team. It's fun.
I don't want to expose my skill set or lack thereof to
do it.
any of y'all.
Be on the winning team, Hogue. That's the way.
Yeah. I'll just huddle in the corner. I'll have no D's but no K's. So it'll just be like, you know what? I didn't do anything. I didn't help them. All right.
This is Dan talking.
Yeah. No, there'd be a lot of D's. Right over here.
Let's say deaths. Can we say deaths?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this abbreviation at all.
I'm just following the trends, buddy.
I've been on the internet too long this week, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's gotten to
Oh, man.
Dan, anything good, man?
No, not really. You know what I've been doing? Like there's nothing out right now that I really want to play. So
I still want to play Rogue Legacy 2.
No, I don't.
I know I do.
Want to play that game.
I'm talking about you, Dan. Go play the show.
That's what I've been playing mostly. It's been that, and then jumping. Like I bought Trek to Yomi, but I haven't played it yet. So that's sitting there. I'm kind of waiting to, maybe when there's like a really bad lull. Like right now, I just go back and I'm playing the show or I'm playing. I jump back into Hitman a little bit. That's basically what I do. I started up a new Horizon Forbidden West playthrough, and I realized that I don't know what they did since I've been gone, but like it's worse somehow. I can't just walking around or like climbing on stuff. I can't.
No, it's always that bad.
But it just seems like just riding like your mount and stuff. You just run into things. Like it was
always that bad.
Oh my gosh!
I found it surprisingly clunky.
It's surprisingly clunky.
Yeah.
I think it's surprisingly clunky. They have. I remember saying this when I first started playing it. Is like they have like really sensitive geography. Mm-hmm. So like if you imagine like minecart tracks that just are just a little bit up the ground, like that'll act as like a slight friction barrier for when you're running across it, and like that's everything. That's every rock. That's every footprint. And it's like, wait, no, this doesn't feel good. No, I love Horizon Forbidden West. It's going on my top 10 list of the year, but not really for like moment to moment feel for how it plays. Surprisingly clunky.
It feels like an early, like the geometry issues feel like an early 3D game when they first started making them, and like every little corner would mess you up somehow. Like
super weird.
Yeah, it's odd.
So they have reduced Aloy's help calls. Not just she won't pick something up every time. They've also reduced her. I think they called it help calls. I can't remember what it was.
Well, they also for picking up stuff. You don't even have to do it for the animation anymore. Like they put the option in where you can just like walk by it, press the triangle button or whatever, and it just automatically picks it up. Yeah, she doesn't have to bend down to pick it up every time. I'm not sure why that should just be automatic. You got to turn it on. But short of that, that's really it, man. I haven't been playing. I mean, I've been playing a lot, just nothing new.
Yeah, nothing.
Kind of waiting for Summer Game Fest and new games, and I don't even know what's next on my radar. Really.
Yeah, that's
you nailed that segue. Is that first, Ames?
That's a good segue. Although, do we want to discuss the outage of Xbox over the past couple days? And
oh no, all right. Well, you have to decide on order then, because that was a killer segue. I don't know if I want to waste it from Dan.
It does not affect me one bit because I basically gave my Series X to my kid because his Xbox went down, so I haven't been able to play it for a while. Not that there was anything there that I really want to play anyway, but I feel it from their side. because now they're bugging the hell out of me. Why isn't Xbox working? I was like, I don't know. I don't have Phil Spencer's number. You can, figure it out. I mean, it's down. Here's a link to the down detector. You can just click on that and look at it.
It is
see if it's down.
So I don't know if we're going to talk about this right now or not, Ains, but it is symbolic of the greatest weakness of the Xbox Everywhere, lean on cloud, kind of games as a service model, because it all died. It all died.
DRM needs to go away. Period.
Well, that's not DRM. It's the functionality, Dan. It acts as DRM, but that's what Microsoft is delivering now.
That just needs to go away. Then.
Yeah, that's also PlayStation. I feel like we should mention they have the same problem when they go out.
PlayStation goes down all the time, though. We're used to their ragtag bubble yum that puts together their.
I can't even sign into your PlayStation when they go down. That's
exactly. And you also cannot access your games as well, and also the even physical games, because most physical games now have to check for.
They have a check. Yeah, that's the problem.
Check, and you put your disc in, and you still can't play a game if your online isn't up.
So that's what two things I want to ask you guys. So the solution that people were saying is, one is you have to have it set as your home Xbox, which I saw many people saying that doesn't work or solve it.
I don't know why it would
not work.
And then the other thing is apparently, and I don't know if this is true. Feel free to comment. Someone can say something. So I'll say this: I've had no issue all weekend. All my games have worked. I played Halo all weekend. The strangest thing I had was my wife and I rented a movie to watch, and that crashed. We couldn't watch the movie, but all of my games and apps worked, which is very strange. But that's a whole nother topic. But they said if it's your home Xbox and you have the disc, it should work offline. I haven't tested it, but again, to Travis
just looked around like he's going to put a disc in and see.
But to Travis' point, there's so many games that even if you have the disc, they still have to go online or get updates, etc., that you still can't play them anyway. So my question really for you guys is one, is this just something that we have to accept as part of our all digital, all everything, interconnected era and ecosystem that we're moving towards kind of everywhere? And two, do companies owe any sort of compensation to their players when the extended outages? Because it's the first thing people are asking. And I love Dan's tweet yesterday about here's a quarter, go shut up.
Yeah.
Do they owe compensation? So owe is such a big term, right? This is probably going to be like a virtual legality as you describe the situation.
I know. I saw you smile. I was waiting for you.
Now, wait a minute. Don't oh boy me. All right. Don't avoid me, Travis.
You got avoid.
People can't tell.
You got avoid.
People can't tell. I'm beyond punchy, so I'm having fun. I'm having fun on this stream, but don't avoid me. No, what I was saying is, O can be morally, ethically, philosophically, like what's right to do, and O can be legal. I can damn near promise you they don't owe you a damn thing legally because there's going to be a content warranty disclaimer in their services language. It says we don't promise that this is ever on.
It actually somebody subtweeted my tweet with the actual terms of service.
Conditions.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. There it is. That'll be the episode. It's like, no, they don't owe it to you, but you should absolutely castigate them. I mean, if you were a normal corporation, you wouldn't have that provision. If you were negotiating with someone on relatively equal standing, you'd have an SLA, a service level agreement that says it'll be up some X percentage of the time. Generally speaking, now with software as a service vendors, 99.995 or something like that.
Yep.
And if they don't, or we understand there's, de minimis immaterial failings. If this adds up to more than X amount of time, we get a discount on this, or we have the right to terminate for breach. If this happens, if it's more than 3 times in 6 months or whatever it's going to be in that negotiated contract. So do they owe their players something? Yeah, they freaking, I almost went full on there on the internet. They freaking owe their players to the service that they have given good cash money for. But that's a castigation issue. That's a political issue. That's get on Reddit, get on Twitter, put on your change.org petitions, whatever the hell you want. But yeah, make it noisy, make it known, because this is unacceptable. If you want to do this because you're going to make this revenue, if you're going to make this money, then fine. I understand that's our future. You make damn well sure you've got redundancies and backups and everything else to make sure that your customers are getting what they paid for, because they're the ones giving you this extra revenue. That's why you exist. That's why you make money. So get on it, Xbox. And yes, Travis, get on it, Sony. And I joke about Sony because Sony is much worse at this than Xbox, in my experience, at least in the recent past. And it just goes down sometimes. And generally speaking, you can time out your gaming. So it's like, all right, I guess I'll play on the other box today. But no, it's crap. Do they owe it to you? Yes, ethically. Do they owe it to you legally? No. And I think your first question was, do we just have to live with it? To some extent, because the vast amount of benefits here, the Xbox everywhere, the cloud, the moving saves around boxes. I have an S and an X, and it's just the nicest thing ever to just go zip, 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 zip. Between those things, that all comes with potential problems. But those potential problems need to be made as de minimis as possible. And so absolutely tell them that. That's the only way that they're going to listen, to make sure that it's as tight as possible. Is anything going to be perfect? No, we're human beings. And I'll be quiet now.
You're exactly right, though. And it's funny you mentioned SLA, and I see Carl in the chat. So Carl and I often talk offline. He's a contributor for Season Gaming and also works for a big corporation. And he and I deal with SLAs and contracts and those things in our professional work as well. So you're exactly right that most of the contracts that I deal with vendors are 99.8% uptime. And there are SLA response times to when there is some sort of outage, usually a tier 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, yep.
And the time that they have to respond. And if you go over tier 4 or past those times, then you start to talk about compensation and contractual discussions that take place, which I've had to do myself. So
virtual legality here at the Bitcast, folks. Right. I love it. Yeah, by the way, tier one, my service isn't freaking accessible. Tier 1, tier 4, the clock doesn't work. You know, I mean, like there's things that are different levels of worry, and I can't access any of the services I pay for. Big, that's high.
Yeah. This is tier 1 without a doubt, right? This is what you'd call a Sev 1, which means you have a complete and utter complete outage of some degree, which is exactly what it seems. So anyway, I don't need to add to anything you said, Rick, but yeah, agree completely with you that we are moving into the age where everything's connected. There are a lot of benefits that come with that. There should be a expectation that this will occur on occasion, but to your point, Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo, I don't know if we're even going to talk about.
Nintendo
Nobody knows because
I was going to say this about Nintendo is that Nintendo doesn't have the same DRM rules because they also don't have the advantages, right? So if you buy a second Switch and you want to like connect your accounts and share the games in cloud, like that's a lot harder to do on Switch.
It becomes quite an effort.
Exactly. In fact, when I got a Wii U, I know that was only one generation ago, but like on the Wii U, when I got a new console, I had to ship them both of my Wii U consoles, and then they had to switch the hard drives manually for me to transfer my data over. So like that's the world you're living in if you just want to be able to play your games offline, which on Nintendo you can do, but then you get all the disadvantages of that too. DRM in the digital world has given players stuff that I think now we take for granted. And of course there are disadvantages, the online thing, the fact that they have to check to make sure that you own it, all that stuff it can be inconvenient, especially when things go wrong. But I think on the whole, we get a lot out of where we're at, and more than we suffer. And I think the way that you fix it is you make small changes. And some people were suggesting stuff that I think works, like having a 24-hour window where you don't have to check in and that sort of thing, which ironically Xbox suggested years ago in 2013 during their original Xbox One reveal, and everybody was like, "What are you smoking?"
Xbox suggested a lot of stuff while trying to pitch the One. That was
here's the thing, Hogue, is a lot of the stuff that they suggested about the always online happened anyway, and I think Microsoft got hurt for being ahead of the curve on that one, because
you don't mandate shit, come along with the curve.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't move curves with consumer electronics.
Yeah, or I tend to think that consumers just don't know what they're talking about most of the time, but that's neither here nor there. I think a lot of that stuff did happen anyway, and if Xbox had been allowed to build the ecosystem that they had originally pitched, we might be in a slightly better place, because they did have like a daily check-in rule, and they had the ability to
and they were going to do family sharing. Yeah.
Family sharing, that's another thing we lost to that.
Okay, I can't accept this. All right. Yeah. They never gave us any goddamn details on family sharing. We lost the pie in the sky platonic ideal of what PR marketing salesmen and board of directors members were selling us. So we have no clue whether that would have been better or not.
Okay. Correct. We don't have a clue, but we do know that never happened because they abandoned that model altogether, which I think that they had here's what the future is going to look like, and here's the ecosystem we're proposing. And then when the market rejected that future, then we sort of got into that future anyway, but it happened unplanned. It was like a haphazard kind of like trajectory. And that means that we're now in a future that I think to some extent are unprepared for, right? It's like, all right, well, you have to be always online. That's just the future now. But we kind of didn't really think about that when we were building it. And that I think that that's going to require some reconsideration of like what the future looks like. That said, I read these articles about Xbox Live going down completely. I felt like I was living in a different universe because my Xbox Live didn't go down at all. And so I don't know if it was just a regional thing. I don't understand where people were going down.
I can't attest to it. I have not turned on my Xbox.
Yeah.
So
it happens. I mean, when you connect to, it's not like you're connecting to one specific server, right? I mean, the traffic is routed all kinds to different data centers, and there's all kinds of links along the way and steps that they have to go through. And, that's why you usually see some people have issues, some people don't. And that seemed to be the case globally over the past couple days. So, but yeah, I never had an issue. Like I said, very strange that all my games work, all my apps worked. Yeah. A movie wouldn't play. I'm like, what are we doing?
I'm always fond of when videos don't play or something like even in games where like it's the game looks great, works great, and like something's wrong with like the coding or the video or things like, wait, this is the passive. You just run the thing. It's
well, and to your guys' point, what I suggested, right? They asked for feedback, so I gave it. I said, if I rent a movie, right, allow me to download it, and to what you alluded to, Travis, which many have, is have a timed license check. Okay, you're now good for 2 days to just play this at will, right? And then after that,
they're scared to death of you cracking it somehow. They're scared to death.
I know.
Of course they are. Yeah, and they should be, because pirating is real, and it's one of the advantages console has over PC is that they can control that a little bit more. So I think it has to be done right. And the other thing is, it's not just Xbox and Microsoft going, yo, here's the rules for DRM. They have to negotiate with the publishers and the developers that put their games on their console, because those people are going to want to know that they're partnering with somebody that's going to protect their IP and give them an ability to sell it without, exposing it to risk. And I think that's one of the reasons that people choose to make their games for console and sell them there, because as some publishers and developers have said, they deprioritize the PC platform because so many people pirate there. And I think that's a fair argument. If I was making a product and selling it, I probably would also want to put it on PC a little bit later, just because, I want to mitigate the amount of people who are going to pirate it. So
gotta keep lights on.
Yeah, exactly. I understand kind of the both sides of this, but you guys are talking about B2B SLAs for, software as a service, which I think is very different than a consumer platform, but they are paying money. And I think that these outages probably are part of it.
I really don't think at this level it's so different. I mean, this is the entertainment medium of the 21st century. So I mean, we have to start looking at those. We have to start looking at what obligations you have, because that's when you start taking it seriously. I mean, that just is. So I mean, like I said, right now, moral opprobrium is the right move. So get on it. But
yeah, fair enough. Hassan,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, our brother Hassan said I couldn't launch any online-owned game nor Microsoft apps. So Hassan also works in tech industry, and he joked he's a Step 1 survivor himself. So he's very familiar with these things. And
I do like writing catastrophic failure in my contract.
All right, let's move on to brighter topics. Our main topic today is about the summer game show schedule. So I'll run through the schedule that we know so far anyway, and then a couple of things we'll talk about within it. So
can I just say before you start, I absolutely love announcement time in video games. I do wish there were a show that you could really focus on, but like it's such a special industry that you just get to say like, well, sit back and tell me about what my next 2 years of excitement and help and hype are going to look like. And I say 2 years conservatively because games get delayed and whatnot. But I absolutely love it. And now you can talk about the schedule. Like I said, I'm just interjecting randanly. Very loopy today, but I'm having fun.
I forgot to take his Ritalin, y'all.
No, I completely agree with you. We're joking about being older, and I'm 43 years old, and I still feel like a kid when these shows happen, man. I just love seeing new games and new experiences, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. So this summer is going to begin right around when E3 normally would. I mean, to a T.
Weird,
which is Yeah, which is Summer Game Fest. So Jeff Keighley's going to kick us off with Summer Game Fest on June 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It is a live showcase. It's going to be hosted by Jeff.
What day of the week is that?
That is the 12th is a Sunday, so work backwards. So that's Thursday.
Okay,
is that right? Yeah.
Crap.
Right. Yeah, that's Thursday. I can add up. So that's a Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and he's calling it cross industry because it's going to coincide or overlap with Day of the Devs. So there's going to apparently be developers stopping in during the live showcase and having game previews and all kinds of things. During like one big event.
Last year they did sequential. They did the opening for Summer Games, and then they did Day of the Devs. Like it was the same stream
back to back.
Right after, yeah.
Might be that way too. He just says cross industry and Day of the Devs is good.
I love Day of the Devs. I love hearing people talk about their games. It's one of the things I miss from what E3 was becoming. Is it just became a YouTube trailer roll? Yeah, I like to hear people talk about the games they make. Day of the Devs, that stream at least last year was very good for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Thursday. Then we move into Friday, a little bit smaller, which is the Tribeca Games Spotlight. That's June 10th, 3 p.m. Eastern. And this is, again, just a showcase showing exclusive games and interviews picked by Tribeca. And then, of course, Xbox came out this week and announced their Xbox and Bethesda Showcase, which is going to be Sunday, as they always do, June 12th, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a 90-minute show again. And, guys, I get to announce for the first time, this crew right here, the four of us, the Bitcast,
what are we doing?
Will be live reacting with you guys, hopefully, everyone listening and watching to the show. So because that Xbox and Bethesda Showcase literally starts when we would normally right around ending the Bitcast, we're going to start a little late. We're going to go for about an hour, do our predictions, kind of get ready, get ramped up, and then we're going to share the experience with all of you. So hope you can join us for that because it should be a lot of fun.
That's going to be a big day. We're going big time. We're doing a full-on live chat-based React stream.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
I know. I'm excited.
Put it on your Outlook calendars, folks.
Travis
I'm terrified of that week. So here's the thing. When I was waiting, I always wanted to go to GCX, which is a Destiny event. It's Guardian Con in Florida, but I could never do it because it always happens the weekend before E3, and I always cover E3 for IGN, and so I could never swing it. And so I was waiting this year. Can I go to Guardian Con? And then as soon as E3 officially gets canceled, I'm like, hell yeah! I buy $2,000 plane tickets.
No, you didn't.
All that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff. And then, like a week after I make that purchase and do all of my flight plans, they announced basically a pseudo E3 that same week. And so Thursday is actually the day I'm supposed to be traveling, and Sunday I'll still be in Florida, which means that I'm going to be doing our live stream from presumably a hotel room with a hotel room internet connection. So I am terrified of the quality of me on that stream, but
I'm always terrified of the quality of you, Travis, but I don't think the hotel is going to change. You're going to be great.
Really,
thanks,
dude.
From a car streamer.
That's gonna be a nightmarish weekend for me. I have no idea how I'm gonna pull it off. So
it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot.
I love it.
We'll make it work one way or another. It'll be a laugh. So let's get these couple super chats real quick before we move into some of the topics here. So we've got one a little bit ago from Dan Lazaro.
Yeah, with the $2 super chat. My games worked all weekend after a store update.
Yeah, so that's another thing they were doing is they were doing these updates to the Microsoft Store. I guess back end stuff. Who knows? But that was affecting people as well. So during this outage, sorry I got to the super chat late. Apologies, Dan, but thank you as always. Fat Boy Horror in the house as well.
Yeah, yay, Jeff and his ads. That's gonna be the worst part.
I have my issues with some of the presentation here, but we'll see.
Yeah,
have faith, optimism.
That's right. IGN Summer of Games happening shortly after that. So.
IGN Summer of Games. Look at him pitching his.
I know, pitching his own company over here. Look at this guy.
It's not my company, guys.
Do you get to? I know that's video presentation. You get to be involved in any of that stuff, or no?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll actually do the coverage, but yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
From his hotel room in Florida.
No, it's not that weekend. It's not that weekend. I'm only in Florida for 2 days, and there's so much happening that weekend. It's unbelievable. It's not just game stuff. It's like personal stuff. I was just like, why did I do this? Why do I ever leave San Francisco? It's always a mistake. I'm never happy.
Why do I ever leave my apartment?
All right, so a couple questions, guys. We can walk through these. So basically, let's talk about some games you want to see, games you're excited for, games you want to see more of. We'll start there. So, and I'll kick us off just so I can go. But I'm very, very excited to see more of what I think will be at the show, and I do think will launch later this year, even though there hasn't been chatter about it recently, which is Forza Motorsport. I am a big car guy. We've talked about this. Very excited on what Forza Motorsport represents, this whole reboot, this next gen only type thing, new physics models, engines, all kinds of things. I'm very excited for that sim racer to come back on the Xbox side. I love it to death, and I'm super excited to see that at the showcase, hopefully with a release date this fall.
Do you just have like an unending appetite for racing games, Ains?
No, actually, shockingly, no. Racing games, there's obviously a ton of them, but the ones I've always really loved have been obviously Forza and Gran Turismo. I love the Horizon series for what it is, but I really like the sim racers too, just because I like getting in there, I like tuning the cars, owning the cars.
I was just asking because I was curious because I've been playing Gran Turismo this year, and I feel like I'm good on sim racers. Like it wouldn't have occurred to me to have Forza as one that I'm even looking for this year. So I was just curious about that.
It's very interesting when you compare the two, right? Because Gran Turismo, I think you'll agree, is very Japanese, and I mean that in a positive way. Like it's just very Japanese, and
it's
Forza,
a very particular kind of game.
Yeah, and Forza gives you a similar racing experience, but everything to do with it is so drastically different that I always like comparing the two. And
that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I love racing games. I mean, I'm playing. I said I'm playing Gran Turismo. I'm also playing Grid Legends, which is arcade racing. I was just wondering because I guess Forza has I've never really enjoyed as much as Gran Turismo for sim racing. Okay, and I was just curious about that. I go for Horizon out of the Forza kind of label.
Yeah. So they've gone back and forth. We don't, again, like over the years, Gran Turismo was the gold standard, right? And then Forza came along, and by the time they got to Forza 2 and 3, the physics calculations in Forza surpassed Gran Turismo. Like it was more realistic.
Okay.
And then over years, Gran Turismo kind of took that title back, and they kind of go back and forth with this, depending on who you talk to in the car community. But that's kind of why I'm so excited to see this, because this is one that they keep in mind. The last Forza Motorsport was 2017. 2017. It's been 5 years, and they've been working on new physics engines. There's new tire engine.
I realized that.
New weather engine. There's all these new kind of calculations that they're building towards for next gen only or new gen only, which is why it's so exciting, right? Because the possibilities
that makes total sense. Huge. I didn't realize that. So they skipped one of the Between Horizon windows. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. They've been building a new engine, and
I had no idea. All right, well, I'm right there with you then. I had no idea at all. Okay, fantastic. This is great. It's a great show.
Yeah. So pumped for a great show. So
hey, I'm just sitting here gathering information, folks. So I thought we were all going to have the same first answer to this question. I have to be honest.
Well, there's a couple obvious ones.
I thought the most obvious one was just going to be the first answer for everybody.
Yeah, the two big ones. We might as well throw them out there, right? The two big ones, if you're looking at first party, are Starfield and God of War Ragnarok. Those are the two ones that everyone's waiting to hear about. So
everyone wants to see Starfield, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. That's what I'm here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's going to be the highlight. That's going to be the big game that Xbox pushes. Same with God of War on the PlayStation side. So I was kind of assuming that those two everyone's interested in, even though I know they're not. But majority of people are interested in, and those are going to be the two huge AAA ones that kind of blow everyone away. Hopefully, blow everyone away. So.
I'm very hopeful, right? Nothing would make me happier than Starfield blowing me away. That would be the
I
would
think
be the
it will.
best to be hyped for.
I think it will.
Travis, your lips to God's ears, man.
The other one, I'm excited for Star Wars games.
Okay.
At this show,
I think there's still eons out. I don't know about
Knights of the Old Republic is probably eons out, but I think maybe we'll see something from it. I would not be surprised if we didn't see Jedi Fallen Order 2. I think that might get announced because they've already announced
it. They announced Fallen Order 2.
We haven't seen anything from it.
I think we might actually. It exists as a title.
Yeah, I think we'll see it in some form because that's a sequel, so that they usually pump those out pretty quick. And we'll see if we see anything from the other one
Ubisoft,
Quantic Dream or whatever. Yeah,
we're never seeing Quantic Dreams again. That game's not real.
I tend to agree with you on that. Yeah, I tend to agree.
We do have Amy Hennig's. She's working on another Star Wars game now, which is cool.
Yeah,
which is brand new announced. That's one of those I almost did a video on too, because I was like, okay, she says it's a spiritual continuation of what they were doing with Ragtag, and I'm like, okay, so if she says that in public, did they license out the work in process? I mean, this is the lawyer. This is what a lawyer, when he reads a news article, go, wait a minute, that's a different company. You wouldn't own the intellectual property there, huh? But you just said it publicly, so you wouldn't be that silly, huh? These are how virtual reality episodes are born, people. I'll shut up.
Star Wars titles. So I'm sure Dan's with you on Star Wars titles. Yeah. I think many people are. What was the other one? You mentioned Ubisoft, which made me think of it, and I didn't have it on my list, but we did finally
an open world Star Wars game, right? They said the Division team is working on an open world Star Wars game using the Snowdrop engine.
Yes, 100%. But when you said Ubisoft, it made me think that this is outside of gaming, of course, but we finally have a release date for the next Avatar movie, which, if it's anything like
Way of Water.
Yeah, Way of Water, which, as you know, Ubisoft has been making this Avatar game for like 5 years, which
I keep being reminded of that.
Yeah, which finally I think we'll probably see, because it'll probably capitalize on the movie returning, is what I would expect. So
I'm ready to don my 3D glasses, James Cameron. Let's get it going. There's so many theater operators that probably don't even have a fully functional 3D screen at this point.
Yeah, I'll take things I don't care about for 200.
Oh, Travis, stop being a spoil sport.
No, come on.
Avatar,
I can't get into Avatar.
Avatar sucks, but its graphics are cool, man. This is the tech demo you got with your old graphics card when you had a big old tower computer that you'd haul off to take to your friend's house to play StarCraft on, and it had a graphics card that showed some cool 3D aliens that you're shooting while on a track. That's Avatar, man. Get excited.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Movies, you boring.
By the way, Ash says, you know what the Avatar sequels could benefit from? Vin Diesel.
There you go.
100%. Let's do it.
Well, they already killed off the one Fast and Furious team member they had, didn't they?
I know.
I don't know. It was killed off a long time ago. Let's be honest.
Wasn't Michelle Rodriguez in Avatar 1?
Yes, she was. She was. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Avatar is fine. It's that. It's the rise, RYSE of movies. It's like, wow, shiny.
It's a spectacle. That's all it is. Yeah.
That's actually a very apt comparison. I have to admit.
Wow, shiny.
Yeah.
What do you guys got, man? What games?
What games? The only two that I care about, right?
Starfield, I think, has got a lot of weight on its shoulders right now. Ragnarok, I would say less so, because I think we all kind of know exactly what that's going to be. But Starfield, I think we all have a version that exists in our minds of what that game is going to be, and the game that we actually get is probably going to have nothing in common with any of those. So I'm very interested to see what they actually come up with.
That's why I think it's so unwise to go with all that concept art, right? Because concept art is very aspirational, and it gives you that imaginative quality, which is what it's for. Like, that's what it's designed for. But it's unlikely.
That's what they do with all their games, though. They did it with Skyrim, Fallout 4. They do this model of like giving you little drips and drops of like what they're hoping, and then when they show you it, it's all like, I think that's going to be the biggest thing we see at E3. I think or at the E3 event that they're doing. I think it's just going to be like a big chunk of time, because that's how Bethesda does it.
You got to sell it. Now, so, yeah. But I mean, like with Skyrim, it's like, okay, I kind of have a notion of what Viking snow mountains are going to be. Like, Starfield could look like anything, and I don't have a baseline to go off of, right? I mean, like, there's so many ways to portray science fiction and exploration and everything else that I know it's a little bit industrial is basically all I've got right now. And so, yeah, that's the number one with a bullet, because I'm definitely going to play it. I'm almost definitely going to enjoy it, but I have no idea what that looks like. I don't know what that experience is framed out as. I don't know anything other than stupid sitting around a desk saying, space. We all want to know what's out there. Hi, I'm Todd Howard, and we're going to talk about human existence in our game, Starfield. Sure, man.
Yeah.
I bet you it's going to be good, though. I bet you it's going to be good.
What I'm saying.
I mean, look, it's a prestige studio. They're going to be a little pretentious. I would argue they're not any more pretentious than like Naughty Dog or the team.
Dude, you picked the most pretentious studio on earth.
I know. I'm saying I think Naughty Dog's the most pretentious. I also think Santa Monica or the Ragnarok team is pretty pretentious with some of their interviews. So
I'm right on board with you, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what prestige studios do. So you kind of have to just overlook a little bit of that.
I am right on board with you. It's so funny because they released Uncharted the movie on digital, which I would describe in a 1-sentence rating as not quite as awful as you may expect. And their Sony Pictures opening is so like, we're so damn magnificent, great storytellers. You've just begun to open the doors to a new era of imagination. And I'm like, okay, Sony, all right, okay,
calm down. Yeah, calm down.
The next generation of gaming doesn't begin until we say so, to quote a Sony executive.
So no, I agree with you. It's just that, man, the stuff that they have done for Starfield for like the last year has been like, okay, all right. I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's probably going to be fairly Elder Scrollsy with some spaceships, but we're not trolling new depths of the human experience in all likelihood, Todd.
We don't know that.
We don't know it.
Give him a shot. Give him a shot.
Lawyered, we don't know it. It's
funny because what's interesting, Hogue, is we have the exact same view on the situation in terms of Starfield's development and the pretentiousness and kind of the strategy, and we just disagree on what the expected outcome is. I'm like optimistic. I'm like, I think it's going to turn out to be good despite all that, and you're like,
I think it's going to be good. I said that when I started. The reason that I'm excited to see it is because I'm fairly certain it'll be a game that takes up many hours and that I will enjoy. I want a notion of what that is remotely going to look like. Like, I mean, space is just so wild. Like, are they going to have a bunch of planets? Is traversal going to be a thing? Are you flying your own ships? I mean, like all these questions that you even had. Remember in like the alpha phase of Destiny, when you want to talk about pretentious studios, Bungie, like the solar system is yours. And it called their game freaking Destiny. Anyway.
Of course they did, yeah.
So when we talk about
a title that has still not been explained, by the way.
No, they don't have time to explain. Yeah. Anyway, so
you just don't get it, Travis. God.
If I don't get it after 7,000 hours, I have no clue what is wrong with me.
I got nothing. But no, so I'm eager to see that. I'm very, very eager to see that one because I think it's very likely to be something that I engage with pretty well, Travis.
And I know I'm going to enjoy it. I say that even knowing we don't know what the hell it is. But I'm also very my expectations for games of this level are very tempered. I get very excited for specific things, but a game like this is like, okay, it's going to be an RPG. It's going to be a top tier, to Travis's point, Bethesda team experience. Even if it doesn't hit all the marks, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I'm still going to love it. But the funny thing is just the huge dichotomy of people literally in our chat was, I've got Hassan, who I know is pumped for Starfield. And Nick says he should just come out and introduce himself as God Howard.
You know what? At a certain level, I would respect that.
Me too.
And then Ash said, I have zero faith in Todd Howard and that team. So I honestly believe that.
How could you say that? They made some of the all-time greats. I don't get it.
I think that people, there's going to be, to your point, there's going to be so many eyes on this. And then compounding that, right? It doesn't apply to this group or our chat, but compounding that is the fact that this is now Xbox exclusive.
Oh yeah, right? I don't think Bethesda is ready for the vitriol of being a Microsoft's exclusive studio. They're going to be like, why does everybody hate us now? They used to be so on our side.
How weird is it? You probably saw me snicker, but I continue to say, how freaking weird is it that it's the Microsoft and Bethesda showcase? They're your company.
Yep.
But Bethesda has a big enough brand recognition in the industry that you want to put their name up there.
Maybe.
Like, people have a.
I don't think anything particular about Bethesda except that it's a city in Maryland.
Because Todd Howard wasn't like, you know what, you better add Bethesda to that because.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they did it. I think they did it on purpose because they think that the Bethesda brand carries enough weight in the industry, and I think they're right to do so. I think there's not a lot of people who would jump for joy at the Xbox showcase, but they see Bethesda and they're like, yeah, I want to be there.
Come back at me if Sony announces their show next year as Sony and Bungie.
Oh, you know what?
Come back at me if that happens. If it doesn't, I
don't know. They only make one game. It's not like a massive publisher, but I could see Xbox doing Bethesda Activision.
Outside of Fallout 76, you know what I mean? Bethesda Game Studios has made nothing in forever.
Not Bethesda Studios. I mean the publisher.
Well, Bethesda, but it's not Bethesda Game Studios. So you're thinking that they're putting like id and Tango and whatever like in that bucket.
Correct.
All right. So by the time next year rolls around, it could be the Microsoft and Bethesda and Activision conference. This is what you're thinking?
I think that they'll at least have the logos up there because you can't just get rid of the Activision name. That's like
I think they might, but yeah.
Well, yeah, to your point, but they're gonna want to promote that like, hey, this is an Activision stream because that's gonna get more eyes than an Xbox stream.
You forgot Blizzard, by the way. You need all four.
Blizzard, yeah, you gotta have Blizzard's logo up there.
I want it to be that. I want it to just be Microsoft featuring Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, and then just a giant king. We know what you're here for, kiddo.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a new problem of how do you manage your brands, and do they get rid of some of those names? But I honestly think the names like Bethesda are probably a credit to them, and Blizzard too. I would say like don't get rid of that brand. Like it's a credit to have that brand on your stream title or whatever.
You do that on your big screen that you put behind Phil Spencer that shows all the brands. To me, it's really weird because you want it to feel like it's your family, and maybe it's just a transitional period. And no, Dan O, I'm not trying to piss off a fan base. I like all sorts of games from all these studios. In terms of marketing, Travis is saying that name is still useful. That is true. That is fair. That is fine. I don't think of it as too useful, but if a lot of people love Bethesda and follow them around, that's fine. When you talk about spending $8 billion, when you talk about spending $70 billion, generally speaking, one of the jobs that you're doing is integrating that goodwill into yours, not keeping it separate like they're a dog on a leash. So, I mean, that's going to be something that their PR teams and their communications teams are going to be working on. Yes, maybe you want to keep the name alive, but you're going to want to make it damn clear that this is part of the Microsoft family.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's
also takes time to make that transition for sure.
Yeah. Fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I will add a little something I noticed, which may kind of speaks to the point here, is that when I was going to E3, and Travis, I know you know this, and maybe kind of what you're alluding to, but for people who haven't, there is a weird and a positive weird, not a bad weird, a positive weird fascination with Bethesda within the games industry. There are people who were so excited to only go to their conference. Forget Xbox, forget PlayStation, forget anything. Bethesda was their thing.
Okay.
And I don't know why.
There are fanboys. I know why. It's Skyrim. Let's be honest. And
that's fair. But
some people also have like that Dishonored, like they're obsessed with Dishonored. That fan base is like
who are obsessed with their IPs for sure.
Are they still publishing their own games? At least some of them.
They won't publish their own.
I mean, they're still technically a publisher, no? Or are they?
They do have a publishing arm. I think it was described.
They're operating as they were before, right? But under Xbox. But yeah, they.
I don't think they'll publish though. There'll be a big old. There'll be a big old Microsoft Game Studios logo at the top of Starfield.
Oh yeah.
Then for sure. I have no idea why they have to have both names on it.
That's the distinction between Bungie and the other deals that Microsoft has done. Because Bungie's like, we're keeping our publishing as fully discretionary. Everything will be published under the Bungie name, and it's like, okay, that's an interesting purchase. We talked about that.
Somebody in the comments also said QuakeCon will probably still remain. Hard agree. Minecon, the Minecraft convention, is their biggest streaming event of the year. Yes, bigger than the Xbox stream. So that's just one example of how keeping the brand separate sometimes can help you. But I think absolutely they'll keep QuakeCon.
Yeah.
And Minecon and all that stuff. I think they want to keep the culture.
But Minecraft's a game brand. They didn't buy Mojang, did they? Or maybe if they did, they don't use that name anymore.
Yeah, well, no, they use Mojang. Mojang is still the developer, but they use
It's not the
Minecraft.
Microsoft and Mojang press conference, even though
Correct.
Minecraft is super.
And I think the difference there is that Mojang makes one game. Bethesda made like how many studios did they acquire with that? 7 or 8?
9.
So like they 9, yeah. So they acquired like a whole culture and legacy and existing portfolio, and I think that is sort of their marketing challenge is. Like you said, attaching that goodwill to their company, but that takes time. You have to kind of promote but hey, Bethesda and Xbox are the same team now, and I think that's their strategy at least this year.
Have Todd and Phil exchanging skits at the
hugging on stage, and
somebody has a pie. It's a whole joke thing. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, Todd takes off his leather jacket and gives it to Phil. Phil puts it on.
And to be fair, whether you like them or not, it doesn't really matter. Todd and Phil garner an audience. Those two guys are people that will do anything for those guys, whether you agree with it or not. It's just a fact.
It's weird.
I'm never going to be terrible. So, I don't like hero worship. Period. I'm never going to be terribly comfortable with it in the guise of corporate CEOs.
For sure. It's weird, super weird. Although Todd Howard, I mean, you made Morrowind, so dude, I don't know. I love you, bro.
So we might as well, since we've been on Bethesda, one of the other ones I had is Redfall. Was announced last year.
Yes.
Was supposed to launch in summer of this year. A lot of sources saying it's now fall. I think their official site even says fall. But I am very, very excited for Redfall. Next game from Arcane, co-op looter shooter with vampires on a dedicated island. I'm all about it. So that's easily one of my most anticipated games. Not the looter shooter aspect is one thing, but just that it's Arcane. Arcane's level design is unique. Their narrative design is unique, and I love their game, so I'm pumped for that one.
I think you're right. I'm very interested in seeing what that is, because all we have is, am I right in that all we have is that pretty cool CGI video, like conceptually?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I like Arcane. I might be in a minority. I really didn't go for Deathloop. Okay. So I'm interested in seeing, what the rest of their company was doing at the time, I guess.
Yeah. I really like Deathloop. It wasn't, I still think Prey is better. Prey is a better game.
Yes. Prey is as I think about it more as we pass, Prey might be an all-timer for me.
It is.
Wow.
For me too. Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. It's a great story.
Yeah. What do you guys got, man? Give me some games we haven't been thinking about. What are you excited for? Dan, come on.
Here's the thing. We're gonna get to this point where we're gonna announce all these games, right? Like, I don't expect to see a whole ton of stuff that's coming out this year, except for maybe, some Starfield stuff. But they'll, a lot of these, I think a lot of these will be like, hey, Redfall is coming, but we're pushing it back another 6 months or whatever. That's what I think will happen. And we're so loaded up on what's coming at this point already. I think we've got, all these other, all these games. If you just look at Star Wars games, there's a huge list of games that are, in production right now. Will we see any of that stuff? Jedi Fallen Order, I'm hoping.
I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm God of War maybe, and Starfield for sure. Those are two games that just come to mind, and those are the obvious ones, like you said, but there's not a whole lot of other games that have been announced, short of a couple of Star Wars games that I really care about, because everything seems to be, it's either live service, it's co-op, it's something, give me some single player games, just single player games. I know that's not the trend. I know that it doesn't make any money anymore. I don't know, but it's just that's all I really care about, and that's all I really want to see. But what we will see, I think, is going to be a lot of gas.
What about Hellblade 2?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to show anything about that. There's really no reason to. They showed that last one in December, right? Was that it? Maybe they.
The one with the faces? Is that the one primarily with the faces?
With that giant monster?
No, it's the giant dude.
The giant. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Faces is the first. Faces is the reveal.
I have no idea when that's coming out. No clue. You showed enough. We're good. Now just give it to me.
I have to be honest. At least the first game, that's too dark. I can't get too excited about a game that dark. It's just me.
Really?
Yeah. I liked the first one. But to me, it was like an art piece about depression. It's not the most obvious sequel bait for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
it is weird that it's a sequel, but I'm almost like, if they're gonna do a sequel, they're gonna make it real weird and something I'm not expecting. So
yeah.
just everything we've seen about that game so far, I'm like, this looks crazy.
They're a very cinematic company. I like that.
You want to talk about pretentious? There's your studio.
I don't know. I don't think.
I want to punch that dude in the face.
They did have a
every
big
time he
long
comes on.
documentary. They did have a big long documentary about mental illness and like what this game can mean to that community and that kind of thing. It's like, well, okay.
Yeah. But it was made by 30 people.
Does that make it less pretentious? I mean,
I think so. I think
pretentious people are like the solo game maker, or
the solo artist.
Fez? The Fez guy is crazy, insane.
But they did it as like a side passion project. So like Ninja Theory, most of their staff was being like rented out. They were like mercenaries for other devs, and then they had a group of 30 people, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to try to make our own game with like a shoestring budget," and they chose to make this crazy, unique game, and it turned out as well as it did. I think the fact that it came out as well as it's good is crazy. Whether the sequel is pretentious, I think, now they've got maybe a chip on their shoulder. We'll see. But I don't know. I have a hard time calling it pretentious when it like all that they overcame and how scrappy it was, and all basically like one actor. Yeah.
What did they overcome?
That's trash.
That with Hellblade 1?
Yeah, what did they overcome?
Working with such a small team on a shoestring budget in between all the other projects, when most of their team was working for other developers. That's crazy. I mean,
I'm glad the game exists, but I mean, like, isn't that what every game company overcomes to get a piece of software out to the door? How many people made Rogue Legacy 2?
Sorry, you're breaking up.
12.
Am I breaking up?
12.
Yeah.
Celador Games is a pretty small dev, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, Hogue, we were comparing it to like Naughty Dog we were talking about earlier, which is like not a studio that ever has to worry about budget cuts or their team's focus being split, or all the things that you would have to deal with if you were a independent developer that didn't have like money. You know what I mean? So
I like them and I like Hellblade, but I guess
it really comes from the leadership though, right? Like you see Neil and he's just like, man, you're great, and you gave us The Last of Us and stuff, but I really don't like you.
I guess maybe this just comes from where I put this game. Like Hellblade, to me was fine, was good, 7 to 7.5.
7,
and then I feel like it got elevated. I don't know if you follow sports, but like when a college recruits a player that has 3 stars, because that college recruited them, sometimes they get 5 stars. Right? Like, it's like, oh, well, I guess as long as you're going to be a Michigan Wolverine or a Notre Dame Fighting Irish or whatever, we must have misranked you. I feel like when Hellblade 2 became a Microsoft product, it became like, whoa, Hellblade. And I was like, I don't remember feeling that strongly about the first game, period.
No, I think it was more that now they had a budget and a dedicated team to it. And it was like, okay, well, what could the potential be of a sequel where they have like all of their kind of force.
Heavenly Sword, which I also found to be a 7.
Yeah. To your point, Hogue, I'm not super sold on Hellblade 2. One, I think it's a little weird that they're making a sequel of it. I wonder if people are overhyping it because, they're expecting, now that they've got a limited budget, it's going to be 10 times better. And if it ends up being sort of like more Hellblade 1, I think people are going to be like, oh, I thought it was going to be an 11 out of 10 instead of a 7. And I worry about that. But I am excited to see more of it. Yeah.
I liked it more than you guys did.
Hellblade 1 you did?
Yeah, Hellblade 1.
I'm right in the middle there.
Yeah, there's definitely shortcomings in that game. You can tell it was made by a smaller team. But there's
like the matching the runes and
the combat was forgettable. And I mean, there's aspects of that game. But I really enjoyed it for what it was.
Me too. Me too. I love that game.
You know what else I want to see? I want to see compulsion games. I want to see their new.
I was just going to say, Dan. I was just going to say, you guys are killing me because no one's naming any games that we hadn't thought about.
I don't even know what they're working on
from you guys right now.
Okay, well, I mean, I was going to.
I haven't gotten there yet, Ains.
Okay. Yeah. So compulsion games is a good shout out. We haven't.
Do we know what they're making at all?
Yeah, they're making a third person narrative, kind of darker adventure, which is probably what their sandbox is. So they made We Happy Few, which it was kind of mediocre. It didn't really land too great. It had some really good stuff in that game. I've talked about this before. I've written articles on it, but it wasn't great, right? But they've been working on this new project for years now. And what I've heard is that it's further away than you would assume, but it wouldn't surprise me. Further out than you would assume, even though it's been 4 or 5 years now since We Happy Few. But it wouldn't surprise me to see some sort of teaser for it, so we actually get to see what they're working on. So I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah, I mean, Compulsion. Am I wrong on this? They made that one PlayStation 4 launch game. They made We Happy Few. Have they made anything else? I'm like, am I supposed to get excited about their portfolio?
No.
Off the top of my head, Jack, and I'm not Googling it right now. I don't know what else they've made in their history. I enjoyed We Happy Few for its concepts. They obviously didn't deliver the full vision of what they wanted there, but the vision was good. So kind of what Travis was saying about Hellblade, right? With Ninja Theory is that the hope, and maybe it's misguided hope, who knows, we'll see. The hope is that now that you've got bigger staff, bigger budget, and time, that the vision meets the production where it hasn't before for some of these studios, right? Ninja Theory.
Well, I think Psychonauts 2 is part of the proof of that.
Is a good example. So we'll see. We'll see.
Compulsion continues to be the strangest purchase to me because I just don't. I don't know whether it was bodies. I don't know what they've got, whether they got good mission statements and business pitches behind the door, whether they were super cheap as Dan offers.
But I actually think it was the developers because they've got a lot of like veteran developers that Microsoft's had relationships with a long time. I think
just
a lot
people
of them
themselves, the individuals.
Yeah, I think it was an acqui-hire because a lot of them worked on like BioShock. I know, so they've got that sort of pedigree, which you can see in We Happy Few.
You can definitely see in We Happy Few. It's just bad. Yeah. I mean, like you see the concept, you can see the design. It is bad. I regretted my purchase almost immediately. But it's got a good idea. It's got a good concept, and then it's a bad game. So I hope so. Nothing would make me happier than great games coming from all these studios. I mean, whatever the chat says about me, I'm not trying to keep people down. I'm trying to keep expectations in check.
We should be keeping people down.
What about What about Insomniac Wolverine?
You think we'll see? So that was the other question I had for you guys too.
Before Wolverine, yeah.
Do we get some PlayStation announcements at Summer Game Fest, or does PlayStation yet to announce their own showcase?
They gotta show up at Summer Game Fest. That'd be crazy if they weren't.
I think they opt out of everything and then they just call it.
Last year, don't you remember? Last year we were all like, "What the hell is PlayStation?" And they didn't have a
late June
until like September.
I think they'll have a late June state of play.
I hope. Really? So you guys think there'll be 2 Xbox showcases basically? Because I mean, Nintendo doesn't do announcements anyway.
Summer Games Fest. Summer Games Fest is going to lean into third parties and indies and computer games. No, you said 2 Microsofts. No, Summer Games Fest is Embracer Group Fest. That's what I think.
Oh boy,
that's what I think.
Fest. Yeah.
Embracer Group and Take-Two. Like, what did we see here? It's essentially Gamescom. So what do we see there? We see a lot of Take-Two presence. We see a lot of Embracer Group presence. That's what I would expect. That's the crew that's going to take over Summer Games Fest, I think.
Yeah, and see, Jack just said in the chat, because I think people are forgetting last year, is that we got through, like, Xbox had their showcase. We all agreed it was really good, and some others. PlayStation was dead silent. They didn't do anything all last summer.
Their pipelines are much slower right now.
They're too busy making summer blockbusters in the summer, Ames. Okay, so
it would disrupt their virtuous cycle.
I loved Hoag's side eye there. It was so good.
Let me get a couple super chats and we'll get. I've got like.
I want to love.
But you have so much hate in your heart. It's impossible.
Oh man! All right, Gio Rio with the €10 super chat.
Hey
I
Gio,
have to ask if that's Euro. It's Euro.
Yeah, it's Euro. It's a big E.
What? I have no idea what's happening. All right, hi guys. Hoag again in stream. Did your Mother Day gift actually arrive yesterday with that long stream?
Yes, co-counsel brought in this note during that stream. It arrived and it was fabulous.
There it is.
Nice.
Love Grogu at Travis Sofa.
Cool.
You think PlayStation will announce God of War Ragnarok release date soon?
Yes.
Yes. The question is, how aspirational will the release date be?
Yes. Do Do you guys? I think you're on mute, Travis.
You guys still think it's coming this year?
No.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. Do you think it is? I think
they might put in a placeholder. I mean, I think they might put in a November, December to keep the monsters at bay, and then switch it to February sometime in the fall.
I think it kind of has to come out this fall.
I don't know if you missed it, but one of the devs responded on Twitter from Sony Santa Monica, and
oh my god,
he responded to someone the same question, and he definitively said it is coming this year.
He is unlikely to be in charge.
100%. I'm just letting you know what he said. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. I do think it is going to come this year. I think that.
I don't know what else would is the problem, right? Sony basically skipped the holiday window last year, and I don't know that they want to do it again. So their pipelines have gotten weird.
Yeah.
Spring pipelines. Yeah. Lately.
All right. Fat Boy Horror. £5. If you haven't played Hellblade with Dolby Atmos headphones, you're missing out on a lot of the game. The damn slander.
I listened to it on headphones, Chief.
I did too.
I like the game just fine. I'm not going to elevate it because it's now owned by Phil.
I love he had a Chief. You know who got serious? The Chief came out. Thank you, Fat Boy.
Great super chat. Appreciate you. I can't change my opinions because what value do I have if I could just change my opinions for £5? You know, I mean, I'm just not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I agree. Like I said, I liked it better than you guys. Apparently.
No, I liked it. I think he said he'd give it a 7. I'd probably lean toward an 8, but I do agree the gameplay is like the worst part, right? The combat
like 7.5. Like it's interesting. It's
we
cinematic.
Don't do 7.5s, Hogue. Just make a decision.
No, we're
it's
not
a 7 or an 8.
What the hell, man? You double those numbers. You want a full number? Okay. It's
what does a 7.5 mean?
What does a 7.5 mean? It means it's between a 7 and an 8, Chief.
Be more specific. Be more specific.
You mean you want it to be like a 7.56, like that level of specificity?
No, I'm a purist when it comes.
You got
to
bots. You got bots in your chat.
No, hey, that's good. That's a sign of success. We got also.
Is there a link to that?
If you want to see some naked women, we got.
It's like, wait, what are the bots selling?
Whoa, slow your roll here, Aim. Give everybody a chance.
Stop deleting those messages. I got to take a screenshot.
Ash said, "Well, God of War Ragnarok be moved to 2023 so they can give Elden Ring Game of the Year." I'll say this right now: Elden Ring's going to win Game of the Year regardless of what release.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Think so?
Starfield's going to make a run.
Starfield's going to make a run.
It could. But again, like when you talk about Starfield, and I don't want to get back to Starfield, but when you talk about Starfield's potential, which is way up here, right? It has the potential to top Elden Ring. Will it top Elden Ring? I hope it does. I hope it does, but I'm not confident in it.
We should all hope the next game is the best game. I mean, like that should be our dream, right? But yeah, Elden Ring's not going to be my game of the year.
VR games. I would like to see some new VR games. There's been
they're so hard to show, aren't they? That's the worst part of virtual reality is that they're so damn hard to show. Because they
promise you that's not the worst part of virtual reality. There's so many worse parts.
PSVR 2.
I don't know where you're going with this, Travis.
Showcasing it. I'm just saying. VR's got a lot of problems. Not least of which is the fact that it's so damn expensive to actually enjoy. You got to have space and income.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I wish the PSVR 2 that they keep teasing would break that boundary, but I think The Wire is going to kill them.
Yeah, I think so. What other games? Indiana Jones? Is that we're going to see that?
We're not going to get Indy, I don't think.
No.
I really want what I always want. You all know what I always want out of these showcases that I never get. What?
Avowed. I'm just kidding.
Avowed,
Final Fantasy.
Avowed would be interesting. Yes, Travis, that's the answer. I really want to see 16, and I really want to see this. What I'm calling in honor of the sequel to Breath of the Wild, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I would really like to see the directions for both those. 16, God help me, Square-Enix, get rid of your Western studios, because you keep saying when you announce Final Fantasy games that this one is not like the last one and we're done it real close to when it's going to release. We'll tell you more about it next year. You skip a year, and my God, if you don't give me some information soon, I will be very upset and buy your product very angrily when it's released.
And someone came out this week and said that it is, quote, complete. Final
16?
Fantasy 16.
They said when they put the launch trailer up that it's like this one's 90% done, and we don't hear about it for 2 freaking years.
Oh, like you said, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It won't take long for us to continue the rest of these chapters.
That's why we split it so we could get it out to you faster. Not only did you not get it out to me faster, you haven't uttered a whisper of this game. You can forget that it exists as a concept.
Yeah,
you ruined your story so much. You're trying to figure out how to fix it. I understand what kind of hole you dug for yourself, Square-Enix, but I'm interested in seeing your game.
So someone you mentioned indie, which Machine Games making indie?
Did they say that? Did they confirm that?
One of the Xbox studios.
It's a Bethesda studio. Yeah, I think it's Machine Games.
They bought into that license because it was Bethesda's before the purchase.
Right.
Correct.
But I believe that the expectation from many out there, and I see some people chatting as well, is the next Wolfenstein that we'll see.
That would be great.
You think so? I kind of feel like Wolfenstein had paved its path with. I really hated that Daughters one.
A lot of people,
but that was a side project. The main games have been fantastic. I mean, 2 is really good.
2,
yeah. I think that DLC that one I reviewed that too, Hogue. I think that was made by a different.
You think was
group.
it? I really
think
didn't like
it
that one.
It was made by a different studio. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah. Some people said, bear with me. What did I just miss? Oh, Dead Space remake. So I think games like Dead Space remake and Callisto Protocol, I'll shout out to, are games that we are perfect for summer games.
Yep, that type of game.
Third party game that we'll see at those shows. I'm super pumped for both of those because Dead Space, the original, is incredible. It's an incredible title, and Callisto Protocol is shaping up to be one, and I hope we see both of those this summer for sure. Yeah,
be great.
Another one I'll throw at you, which we got the state of play.
Arcane made the shitty Wolfenstein.
They did actually.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
So it's that game and then Deathloop. Yeah, you're gonna have to show me something, Redfall.
Oh, come on. Arcade has a better history than that.
I mean, that's better history. That is fair.
But the more distant you get from it, then it starts to, it's like a
true,
a pendulum.
Remember, Arcane is 2 studios. So there's Arcane Leon in France.
Yeah, that's Deathloop.
Yeah. That's Deathloop. The game that Redfall is being made by Austin, which made Prey. And they've been working on it since Prey.
That's all that since Prey?
Yeah.
All right. Then
that's it. And
you're going to start with, I think you'll be good. Prey's amazing. Prey's amazing.
It is.
Prey is amazing. But each developer has like groups, I think, and also sometimes get assigned projects that like I think the Wolfenstein
doesn't capture
project
their spirit.
Yeah. I don't think the Wolfenstein
Arcane
project.
game.
Yeah, you should not have given a Wolfenstein mini DLC to Arcane. That is an insane idea.
Enter Square-Enix saying, we really want to get into gas, but turns out Crystal Dynamics they don't have a love for it. Sorry about that. We're gonna sell them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nash is right. A few of the key folks from the Austin Arcane Austin team are the news studio that made Weird West. That's very true. One other big one. One other big game this fall that we got the long extended state of play for, which surprised me, is Hogwarts Legacy. That is due to release in the holiday of this year too.
Right here, baby.
That's not going to hit that, I don't think. But it's
Slytherin, of course you are.
It was the best. That extended state of play, I think, was my favorite extended state of play ever. I think they did a really good job selling their title.
They did, because I was not really interested. I was interested in the prospect of it, and I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. But after watching that, I was like, I'm in.
I'm in too.
Yeah.
I'm in too.
So.
Yep, for sure.
So Final Fantasy for me. What else do I have here? Sequel to Breath of the Wild. I want to see. I know, Ains. Let the rest of us be.
I know. I'm in the minority. I know.
Well, I don't think they're going to be at these shows though. I would be very surprised.
I guess when Ains asked us to offer our thoughts on these, I'm including the month of June. I expect a direct. I expect a state of play.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope.
Not that week. I think there'll be some distance, but I think in June you'll get both.
Okay. Fair enough. One other kind of small, well, it's not smaller, but one title that I'm excited for is Stalker 2.
Yes. Well,
that was delayed 7 additional months till December. December 8th is now the release date, assuming it releases.
We'll see that.
Where are they making that? Is that war affected?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it was shifted. Yeah. But
I mean, literally war affected, not advanced wars.
Quite
affected.
literally. Quite literally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
We'll see.
I predict we will not be seeing Perfect Dark at the Bethesda Xbox Showcase.
Travis going out on limbs.
Yeah, I will. I predict that. That's my bold
Travis,
prediction.
will we see that rare game with the cartoon deer?
I don't think so, man. I don't think it's
okay.
gonna come.
All right.
And then no, sorry, Banjo 3 is also not going to be there.
Oh, don't crush my.
I know. I want it too, but I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Here's my super wish: a Sea of Thieves single player only server.
Go home.
A single player only server.
Go
just the
home.
only
like no asshats, like just like, hey, like do what Fallout 76 did. Let me buy my $15 server and populate it with nobody.
Just
so I can
you and your boat.
Yeah. What?
Just you and your boat.
Yeah, just me and my boat.
Because I actually thought Sea of Thieves did a great job with their Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. Like, I really liked that.
I thought they did too when I could actually do it and there weren't campers sitting outside of the stupid.
As an asshat in Sea of Thieves.
Here we go.
I'm offended, and I think you should be forced to play with me. So that's my.
You can join.
Dan, we should do a stream. I would play Sea of Thieves with the three of you.
Listen,
we should. This is the perfect crew. We have a group of.
I'm in. I'm in.
I would 100% play pirate with you three.
Hell yeah,
that'd be great. Okay,
there you go, Dan. You found your family.
Right, off chat. Off chat. We're gonna have to start up some Sea of Thieves.
Oh, you guys will be impressed by my loadout. I've been curating for a while.
How do you play?
Great, we'll figure it out.
Let's do it, man. I'll teach you.
Figure it out.
Can you give me a battle rifle and some armor? And
in terms of skill,
no, there's
nothing to it.
Yeah, you don't have. I will never have better equipment than you. It's all set. It's.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I haven't played like you guys. I haven't played a lot, but I have played quite a bit, and it's fun when you're in a group. It is.
Yeah,
it's
great.
For sure. I get my accordion.
We'll be the asshats, Dan. Come to the dark side.
Just understand that I basically, at the sign of anybody else, I head for the edge of the map and sink my ship so that nobody can have my loot. So,
fair enough.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
I just I like wasting people's time because I know they're coming. So I'll literally go around an island constantly and just keep circling it until they get bored, and then I just take off and either head straight into the wind or see what happens. I just like annoying people.
I've already told you that I play musical instruments and try to appease them before being sunk and killed.
And they always message you, "Hey, we just want to talk." Yeah, right. All right.
I literally do. I want to make friends in the Sea of Thieves, but what can you say?
You're the only one.
Let me get a couple super chats real quick.
Super chats. Yeah, thank you, generous chatters.
Our regular Gecko Gamer is back in the house.
Yeah, I want to see Kerbal Space Program 2. Okay, all right.
That'd be a fun one.
Another one of those games with I don't want to say cult following, but you know what I mean. There's a core group of community that loves Kerbal Space Program.
I think they'll just keep developing one. I don't know if they'll make a sequel.
Okay. All right. Dan Lazaro back in the house with my favorite super chat of the day.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is a great cure for insomnia.
Sure is.
Well, if anybody can identify it, it's probably Travis.
Yeah, honestly, I can tell you. I can tell you that's not one of the games I fall asleep to super easily. So
yeah, but Diablo,
Diablo is a great dude. I'm sorry. You can love that game.
Sweet little guitar, and then Diablo, you could absolutely fall asleep.
You can love that game, but let's be honest. You can play it with your brain fully off. Right, like that is literally just click, or if you're in a controller, just
stuff.
Well, it's cookie clickers with demons, right? I mean,
I like that game. Just to be clear, it just makes me fall asleep. I don't want to fall asleep. I'm like trying to stay up and play the game. It's just that
I love this.
My brain sort of enters this pattern, and then it's just it's meditative, and then I fall asleep.
All right, Pompa back in the house.
Pompa with a $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. Give me a stream with all four of you playing Sea of Thieves, Rocket League, Division, anything. LOL. That would be great.
Super chats are the way to get us to do it. It's true.
Yeah.
We work.
I would also love it if we could do streams of games that only one of us knows really well. Like, I would love for like Ains to make us all play Halo with him, and then I can make all of you guys play Destiny with me, and we could just like record everybody being confused about everything. It'd be great, man.
I know I only have about 1,000 hours in Destiny. Am I?
Oh, you're casual, bro. Filthy casual. Yeah, absolutely.
It was when you said that, it reminded me of the time I brought Dan in to play PUBG with me and Bert, which was the funniest thing you've ever seen. Like, me and Dan, like, I'm behind a rock, I've got my sniper up on the hill there, and I'm like, all right, Bert's watching that way, I'm watching. We're very coordinated, right? And
Dan's just Jenkins did, basically.
And can you click on this this most recent Ash Reviews Games chat?
Yes. Where we at?
So this is the dream right here.
That's great. Hope stopped watching the show though, and so did I. Actually,
I'm just in the headphones grousing about Madrigal.
Yeah.
Which the entire episode was about this week, by the way.
No, they didn't give a whole episode to Madrigal.
Entire episode.
All Quan.
Bro, I have not seen. I think I stopped at 4. Was that the one where he touched the big rock this time?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Hogue. Yeah, exactly. And I have not gone back. I think about it, and I'm like,
the internet promised me that episodes 5 and 6 are awesome.
A lot of people liked 5 and 6. They're, again, like I told you a couple weeks ago, they're okay. I still have qualms. And then this week, I think it was IGN actually read that the entire episode was about Madrigal and Quan Ha and Soren. And actually, it's the first week where I didn't watch it upon release. I was like,
that can wait.
I sat down and watched it yesterday. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Okay,
it's really bad.
It's still because Soren
has hope in his heart. Okay, we can't take this fully away from him. Ains, you keep going, brother.
Two things. Soren is cool, and at least they pushed some of what I think is the nonsense about Madrigal. Like, it should be done now, if that makes sense. There is a like Halo lore guru that writes for Season Gaming. Like, he's a Halo nut.
Okay.
Legit. And he pointed out something in the episode that I would have never noticed in a million years, that I don't think anyone noticed, about how there's I don't want to ruin it, but it's in our Discord. But
I mean, you can't any more than it is.
There was apparently emblems within this camp in Madrigal of the people they were talking to that are Forerunner emblems, which are tied to the other part of the Forerunner story that's coming. So I was like, okay.
Have you guys ever watched an episode where you just like sit there and it's like, all right, no, and you just keep fast forwarding until you see something interesting, and then the next thing you know, you're at 59 minutes and like 20 seconds of the hour-long show, and you're like, oh shit, I missed everything.
Well, like
that's basically how I watched that last episode.
I'm holding out. I'm in the middle of Moon Knight. I'm enjoying that enough. I've watched the implosion of Halo. I watched the implosion of Picard.
Get ready for the implosion of Moon Knight, buddy.
Okay, thanks, Dan. That's something to look forward to.
Hey, Ozarks was good.
You know what?
Incredible.
Yeah,
I'll go watch Ozark. I'm watching like Yellowstone. I'm watching like all the stuff that was made for me in terms of gaming and nerdiness and everything else is just
there's too many good shows right now for me to continue to watch Halo. Like Ozarks was great. Better Call Saul is doing great. Barry season 3, amazing. Yeah.
That's the assassin one with
Hater. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, you should.
Hater is a taste I've never acquired. So it just
really?
I don't like.
Well, he's great. He's great in that.
I've heard that.
We moved to TV Cast, by the way.
Yeah, right. We got TV all of a sudden.
So this is all right. I'll try to keep you on track. I'm sorry. So I will say this, right? I was on a 10-hour stream yesterday, and it's we're just wandering about. So I apologize for just doing that.
He's in a meander mood.
For just part 2, I'm knocking my pop filters off. It's all good. So yeah. No, I almost in the middle of this said, yes, keep sending in those super chats. It's like, all right, back off, Rick.
Well, you can say that. That's fine.
Keep sending in those super chats.
I'm gonna bring Halo back. So you asked me about 45 minutes ago, I think it was, around Halo Season 2.
It sounds
like it. The last thing I want to mention for E3, which I think we're going to see, is the prevalent rumor right now is we will see Certain Affinity's Halo Battle Royale mode debut with some type of launch this summer.
You say mode. Do you think it's a mode or is it a separate app?
Separate.
I think it'll be similar to like Warzone. I think we talked about this before, where you can load into
menu,
it,
but it's
Infinite,
legitimately a separate game, but it's a menu overlay.
Yeah, I think the reason he's calling it the same game is because it'll most likely have parity with the Halo Infinite sandbox. It'll be like the exact same engine and all that.
Okay.
Plus, remember, Infinite's doing a thing where you're creating your Spartan, right? And I think your Spartan will be your battle royale character, right?
Absolutely.
So, what I think, though, and I've thrown this out to a few people, by the way, this is not something I've heard from anyone, so there's no legitimacy to this rumor. This is just me being hopeful. Joseph Stoughton has alluded to re-looking at classic Halo maps and kind of giving a wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing about this. I personally believe, knowing certain Affinity's history, especially with Halo 1, Halo 2, and Max Hoberman leading that group, what we're going to see from their battle royale is the ring world, right, from Infinite, or some, kind of make of it. But that within that, if you think of a battle royale, whether it's Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, etc., right, you have these different regions and landmarks on the map, and that's how you communicate to your teammates. That's where you know you're going to drop, etc. I believe that we're going to see a battle royale that includes within the play map. Classic Halo maps, multiplayer maps. So, for instance, I think there will be a Blood Gulch within the Halo map. I think there will be a Lockout Tower on the map, Ascension Tower, those types of things. And I think that'll be a way that you not only get Halo fans like myself extremely excited about this mode, but you bring back a lot of nostalgia and a lot of love for classic Halo within Halo Infinite. That's what I think I'm going to say.
What about a Blood Gulch map, but everybody is like 1/3 of their normal size, thus making it much bigger?
They'll call it Halo Grounded.
Thank you.
Halo Grounded.
Yeah, that's my idea. What about like single player elements? You think they'll expand on that?
Hey, Dan, do you know what a battle royale is?
I know what battle royale is. I can care less about battle royale.
He's asking campaign expansion.
Yeah. Do you think maybe they have something in the works?
They have stuff in the works. They've already.
I know for sure, but that they could show potentially in theory. No. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're personally, I don't think 343 is in a place where they're ready to show a campaign expansion yet. I just don't. I hope they do. I hope we see something, even if it's a teaser, but I don't think we do.
Yeah, I just want them to talk about it. I don't need to see anything more.
Yeah. Okay. We can get some Starfield concept art.
What would you do if the Halo or the Xbox Bethesda Showcase was just more concept art and another interview with Todd Howard? What would you do, Hogue? If it was like a 15-minute interview?
So what I'd want, if that was what they had to show, I'd want a really big build-up as part of like the film.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like it's finally time for the grand unveiling of what we've been so excited about for so long. And then it's black, and then like maybe actual like little pinprickle stars pop up, and then you realize you're in that conference room again, and then you think you're just getting an intro, and then it's 15 minutes later and it says, "Wasn't that fabulous?" Like I think it means I would lean fully into we're just assholes. That's what I would do. But yeah, and
then they announced that they're re-releasing Skyrim.
Yeah,
right after that. Yeah.
Well, what I'm expecting is there's going to be a computer in Starfield that plays Skyrim. So that's what I'm hoping for.
That's a brilliant idea.
That is a really good idea.
It just gives you an overlay on like the corners that it's Starfield. It actually loads up the Skyrim app on the back end. That's what I'm expecting.
By the way, I admit while I was talking about the Halo piece that we got back-to-back comments going back to the Halo TV show for a second. Back-to-back comments, as always, where Captain says the show is totally lost now, followed by Zink saying the Halo show is fantastic. So it continues to be one of those shows.
Reasonable minds can differ.
That's what I just told Zink. Hey,
also, unreasonable minds can differ. I feel like that isn't stated enough. Some people can have unreasonable minds. And those unreasonable minds can differ. I mean, let's be honest.
So, look, reasonable minds can differ is an ethos designed to not make you think that difference makes the other party unreasonable.
Correct. But some minds are unreasonable, and they will likely differ.
Yeah.
You're not helping, though, Travis.
The
can
phrase,
is also not a will. I mean, it's like the notion is the other person could in fact be a human being and not a monster.
And, which, by the way, I totally agree with.
I
know, you know the phrase, great minds think alike. The other half of that phrase that people leave out is, but fools rarely differ, right? And so you can be in a reasonable mind, and maybe that's why we're agreeing or disagreeing, but you can also be an unreasonable mind. So I want to speak for the unreasonable minds out there, really. Can I be the spokesman for unreasonable minds?
So it works.
There you go. Perfect.
Travis, I'm going to work up a piece of merch that'll be sold once that just says unreasonable mind. Okay?
Unreasonable mind arrow.
We're going to get it. We're going to get it to you
on the t-shirt, like printed tie.
Oh, unreasonable mind tie for Travis.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Linus says hello from Sweden. Looking forward to seeing future live streaming. Hello,
Live streaming.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe that's a Swedish word.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Live streaming.
That's true.
It might be. I'm serious. Maybe.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
We don't speak Swedish. Linus
You don't
knows
speak
this.
Swedish here. We don't know. know.
But I appreciate you checking us out from all the way over the pond. Thank you. Back from the Dead says, I hope co-op comes before Halo VR. If not, that just shows they can't even fix parts that should have shipped with the game before prioritizing extra content.
Different teams. Let's be real.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I again, I'm not going to revisit the co-op should have launched with the game. We've had that discussion, endlessly. But yeah, these are separate things that are being developed independently. We'll see. Staten made it very clear yesterday or the day before that he's already playing co-op. They're playing it internally. It'll be out this summer alongside Mission Select as well. So, that experience is coming soon. So we'll leave it there.
I was so surprised to even find it didn't have Mission Select. I didn't even realize it didn't have that. That's wild.
Because it's an open world game. It's not.
It's pretty common in open world games to not have missions to replay.
Open world game. What open world game has a mission select?
Every Rockstar game ever released.
Okay, so 3.
3 games. Ubisoft games you can't replay.
Breath of the Wild have mission select.
Far Cry you can't replay. Yeah, it's pretty common. I would say that doesn't surprise me. Although I think it should. It should have them. I'm glad they're adding it.
It should, and I'm glad they're having it. But this goes to speak to the Halo community, which is every new Halo has to have everything the prior Halos have. Otherwise, it's considered disappointing. And
it is disappointing. It's part of the nature of being a franchise. You don't want to be in a franchise, go make something on your own. You want to build off Bungie's legacy? Go meet them where they live.
But it's a different type of game.
What's weird about that for me though is, at least in my head, most of Halo Infinite's missions were like isolated incidents. It was like MMO caves.
Yeah, that's how they're gonna do it,
more or less.
Yeah, I agree. But it is funny.
It should be replayable. It's like one of those features that it's always good, but people rarely include it in their games, like lack of fall damage or not having equipment encumbrances and stuff. It's like we all know that those are the way you should do it, but some games just don't do it anyway. And you're like, why?
Wait a minute, hold on. We all know that you should have inventory unlimited and no fall damage. That's like a specific choice. That's a design choice.
I know, but what game are you like disappointed there's no fall damage in?
A game that's trying to depict some form of realism.
Okay, well, that I just think it's like,
okay, so you take Arthur Morgan up to the top of a mountain and you hurl him off the side. Is the game improved?
Kind of.
I guess I'm thinking specifically of like shooters, like a lot, like Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite does not have fall damage. You gotta love that. Doom, I think, also doesn't have it. Maybe Wolfenstein.
Borderlands does not.
Borderlands doesn't have it. Like, it's like a good design decision. And then like some games like Destiny randomly will have it, and it like ruins everything. It's like, oh, I'm always bouncing off of stuff and dying, and it's just like, why is this still in games?
Okay.
Same with encumbrance. Encumbrance is always confused me. If I can go on a diatribe here, real quick, just like a quick diatribe. Why do we have encumbrance limits in games? It is baffling to me because the idea that like, oh, well, they're trying to be realistic. It's like, dude, I'm carrying 242 pounds of equipment on me. We left realism in the rear view a long time ago. And you're telling me that, we don't want you to be able to carry too much. It's like, dude, I have 90 pots on me. Like I have like 50 swords. Like this was not realistic at any point, but you're going to give this arbitrary cap of like, well, we don't want you to carry too much. It's like, what are you doing? What are we doing?
The 32 swords that you carry as the Witcher.
Come on. Like,
that's just too much.
Let's be real.
This is the horizon.
It's not fun. It's not a fun mechanic. Nobody likes it. It doesn't help with the game. Let's just get rid of it.
Originally, it was due to memory, but now I agree. I agree with your point.
Yeah,
holistic.
It sucks.
Yeah, but you can just put another point into strength, and you'll be fine.
Choice. It's setting up. It's limitations offer design choice possibilities, right? Why does Aloy? Why could she hold 10 potions, which is obviously a bit ridiculous, and not 3,000? Because at some point you make the game ridiculous.
I get that. That is fine.
But that's what encumbrance is on a grander scale. That you can only have so many options and so many things that you can take with you. And Ains is right, by the way. The original case was like, how much can we save?
So yeah, I agree. The memory was one thing, and I there's certain things like maybe potions where it's a game design choice. Well, you shouldn't be able to have more than 10.
Do you think Prey would be improved if you had unlimited inventory?
I don't really remember how that game handled inventory, to be honest
with
you.
It's Tetris inventory. It's Tetris inventory.
Yeah.
Tetris.
Kind of like Deus Ex.
I don't really. Way. Yeah. Again, I don't remember. I think it's
blanked out on Prey entirely.
Dude, it was so long ago. Wasn't it 2017?
Maybe Diablo. Anything with a Tetris inventory. That's what Prey.
Yeah. Why have limited inventory in Diablo? That makes no sense to me.
I'm out. Ains, it's been a pleasure.
Why? Look, Skyrim. What's the point of that? Because here's the thing. Some games it makes sense, like survival horror, like Resident Evil. Like, okay, cool. Then you play the Tetris briefcase game because it's about like limiting your resources. But other games where it gives you like Cyberpunk. I'm playing Cyberpunk right now. This game limits your inventory, but it limits it to like 500 pounds, which is like, why? Like my character can't carry 500 pounds of equipment in any reality. And so why are we limiting
reality though? I mean, you can do that because you've got cybernetic implants on your legs, you know? So
yeah, but how do you carry it? Your character doesn't wear it. You can look at your character in that game in the mirror, and you're not like wearing this huge knapsack with 500 pounds of equipment or anything. It just doesn't make sense to begin with.
This is a weird conversation. I'm gonna be honest.
Hogan's gone. I guess what I'm saying is I'm fine if it's a design choice. I feel like a lot of people just put it in there because they feel like they have to, and I'm just like, why? It's not fun. Nobody likes that part of games. Nobody likes having to clear their inventory.
That part of games.
Skyrim, you like worrying about the inventory?
I like in Diablo or Skyrim or Prey or whatever, the notion that I'm going on an adventure, I'm collecting my things, and then I have a reason to go back into town as if I am actually engaged in some process that looks like gathering and re-equipping and going back out there. Can you set those numbers wrong so that your fun is not maximized? 100%. But as a design element, game designers have used it effectively in the past, and I have enjoyed that process.
Okay, for sure. For certain games, very specific games that are not Cyberpunk or open world RPGs, it kills me, man. This is like a nitpick. I guess I more often than not find it to be not fun and super irritating. And it's like, oh, you know what I like in my video games? The reality of having to pick and choose and go to like a store and go through that whole process. And it's just like, oh my God, please, can we not do this again?
What's the R for you? Like, just, I'm curious, what is the R doing in RPG?
Roll?
Yeah.
That's the
But going back to town and sorting through a shop. In The Witcher.
That's the roll for you? That's the R?
I think it's part of it. If you're going to be an adventurer in Skyrim or you're going to be Geralt of Rivia, that
Oh wait. So you think Geralt of Rivia has to go back into town to sell all his loot, but he only has to do it when he's carrying 90 swords.
You're objecting to the number. Look, okay, so you're saying if the game developers want to have this kind of limit and design and give you that role playing, that it has to be you can carry 2. Because you're saying that if it's not depicting reality perfectly, then it's not worth doing. And I think you're just flat out wrong. Yes, it's a hyperbolized, exaggerated version so that you're not doing it every 2 seconds, but you can still get that value out of what this is. It's like Ace Combat. Can a plane hold 255 missiles? No, but it's still a good thing to have an idea that it's limited so that you're not just jamming away at the missile button, right?
Right. So that's different is you're talking about ammo. I'm talking about carrying items that aren't serving any functional use. It's not like a potion limit, right? It's like, okay, I have a limit on how many cups I can hold because every cup adds a pound. And then when I have too many cups, then I have to go back into town.
And
that's
what is
not
that
a
doing in
design
terms
choice.
well, what is that doing in terms of your gameplay, right? You're not a freaking hoarder who's picking up every cup in every house that you go into, right?
But why can't I be? Why can't I be?
You can if you want to go back to town, I suppose, and sell the cups that are worth one.
That's irritating. So now we're at the crux of my argument.
You're not wanting to play a role. You want to be Travis, the hoarding maniac in Rivia. Or it's
Everyone
not,
wants
it's
to
not
be
actually
that.
Rivia.
Look, here's the thing. You already are the hoarding maniac because you have 500 pounds of stuff on you.
No, the number it doesn't make you that. The number just makes the trips less often so that you're not just in an actual version of the real world going through your household chores.
Okay, you're painting me as the guy who wants to be the hoarder, but you want to be a traveling trader, apparently. You want to like go and collect items and then go back into town and sell them, and it's like,
I want you to have to think about your
fantasy?
choices because game fun, especially in a role-playing game, lives in making interesting choices. And so if you come into a house and say, just vacuum it all up, it doesn't matter, that you've lost a point of making good choices in the game that you are playing.
I have a hard time thinking that you are making valuable choices if your choices are 50 swords. That's not a choice. I'm just saying you can put limits on certain items. I think we all agree that's a good game design mechanic. But when it comes to like frivolous items, like stuff like if you play Skyrim and you want to steal things,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, after I loot 2 houses, then I walk super slow and I can't fast travel and I have to go back into town and go through a bunch of doors to get there and then talk to a guy and then I've got to negotiate my price. And then once I've sold it all, then I go back out and I do it again. And it's like, if the fun of the game is in the looting, why are they putting all of these restrictions on the looting?
Like we say about assumptions, that's where you start. That's the fun of the game. No, I disagree. The fun of the game is making the choices. You've eliminated like 4 great choices by eliminating encumbrance there. What am I going to take? When am I going to take it? Might I use an encumbrance enhancement potion, which is its own design mechanic, right? That you should think about and potentially prepare before you go and you rob those things. Where am I going to sell them if I have to sell them? Do I have the proper contacts? Do I get in there? That is all part of a role-playing game, Travis, and you would put it in the bin because looting is the fun. I just disagree fundamentally.
I think I agree with the idea of your point, which is that certain things should be limited because that's the fun of the game. I just think that you're painting encumbrance very broadly as like, oh, well, it helps you make decisions. And most of the time it does not. It makes you make super artificial or like really irritating decisions of like, oh, well, now I've got to choose to pick between these items that don't matter at all and get rid of all this extra loot. If you were saying like, oh, well, there should be limits on useful items like potions and you have like a potion belt with a number of those,
useful, why are you
weapons, that's them? What's that?
If they aren't useful, why are you stealing them?
Because you want to loot them and sell them eventually. But then
okay, so that's controlling your economy. It also includes what I just said, which is you want to have selling as part of it. So wait, am I the trader or are you the trader?
What is happening?
We're both the trader. You just want the trading to be irritating.
I want the trading to be more.
You want the trading to be irritating because it's interesting and it makes
you think they set the number wrong. You've already conceded my point that it's a potentially good design element. You just think they sent the little levers wrong.
No, I just think that encumbrance is used as a hand wave of like, oh, well,
I think a bunch of designers do it shittily, Travis. I do agree with that, but you would have it eliminated, and that is eliminating a tool in the designer tool belt, which I do.
I would have them eliminate it for like junk stuff, is what I'm saying. That's the thing that annoys me. Is like if it's already junk, if you marked it as junk and you're not planning on using it, it doesn't really have any function in the game. Then it is by definition not a meaningful decision. And so why am I?
And some games with encumbrance do that. Some games cash them in like when you pick them up. In fact, that's something that you can do in Cyberpunk. You're talking about Cyberpunk encumbrance. You have a skill that you can buy that just cashes it in immediately. You don't that particular adult toy, it just becomes money.
It actually only works with, at least I'm not finished with the game, but I have that perk and it only works with certain items. And those items are like, I can't really tell which ones it's getting rid of, but it's not the ones that are filling up my inventory.
It's the ones that say plus money in the corner when you pick them up.
I have a request to mute both of you. I just want to let you know.
Probably should. This is a great argument. This is a great argument.
And I also have a comment from Dan Lazar that says this is the nerdiest thing I've seen in some time.
I mean, literally, if you guys were talking about this and also a Star Wars game at the same time, we would have achieved some kind of super nerd
in
status.
Star Wars game.
Get ready for our Ubisoft Star Wars long-form 4-hour episode, Travis and Rick in the year 2025.
You know what game proves my point? Because there's not really a lot of games that just forsake encumbrance.
Okay.
But one of them that is Elden Ring. Anybody ever complain about the encumbrance system in Elden Ring? No, it's great because it makes you choose which ones you have using, but it doesn't limit. You can carry the entire pantheon of weapons and spells and equipments on your person without having to do any annoying kind of like going into town and that sort of stuff. So Elden Ring.
They don't have towns for you to go to, Travis.
They do, but you can sell things. They've got traders.
They do. But
you can go at your own pace. You don't have to go back after you clear one.
While I generally agree with you, and that is true in Elden Ring, economy is not really something that's big in From games. You find your items, you find whether they're useful for your build, and you use them. Buying and selling items is not a big thing in From games.
That's true. That's fair enough. But the lack of encumbrance, I would say, is
I agree.
credit to the game.
Someone said, "Well, I love this argument. I'd like Dan and Ains to weigh in." I honestly,
whoa, I'm sorry. Objection, completeness.
Don't know what that means.
I was like, wait, what? Okay, yeah, he says he's Team Hogue. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like Dan and Ains to weigh in. I don't really care enough to weigh in that much, to be honest with you. I
never really thought about it.
I think I agree somewhere in the middle, which is it doesn't usually bother me either way. If it's part of the game design, I deal with it. If it's not, I don't deal with it. And I play the game how the developers design it. And there are times like you brought up Prey, right? Which has the Tetris, right? So does Diablo. We've talked about that. And like Diablo 2 is a classic example. Remaster came out because it's very small. You can carry very little in that game.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and that does annoy me to some degree. But generally speaking, I don't play a game and think, God, this encumbrance is really annoying me. But so I'm in between. I don't have a big opinion either way.
Yeah, I think it's more annoying than it is helpful. And like certain games, like I said, Dead Space, I think does Dead Space have that system? I think it does. Resident Evil 4 definitely does with like the briefcase. I think that's like a good system because it's a survival horror. I just think that most of the time people just use it like, oh, well, we got to have encumbrance. You got to throw encumbrance in there because, we're trying to be realistic. You can't just carry everything. And I'm like,
well, I think the realism
you're already
realism argument is gone.
Yeah. It's so silly to think that you're even being close to realistic. And so
Resident Evil is an interesting one that you bring up because to Rick's point, they design it so you have to decide what you're going to be able to carry because that adds to the tension, I think, of the game itself while you're away. And then you have your treasure chest in your safe room where you can put all your other crap. And
fantastic. Love that design. I just think that games that just sort of throw it in there, which I would say is most of them. Most games that have encumbrance, it's really just like, well, we gotta have encumbrance in this game. And
what games are you primarily thinking of there? I know Cyberpunk's on your mind. Is there anything
Cyberpunk
else?
Is on my mind. I don't know. I've run into a couple games recently, Hogue. I think that's why this is on my mind because I'm like,
I'm just wondering if it's mostly the Bethesda portfolio.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for Starfield. I guess maybe is another thing that's on my mind.
Isn't
and then I think
Elden Ring that robot is he can carry your stuff? Isn't that the one thing they told us about Big Industrial Robot Friend is that he can carry stuff for you?
Oh, I didn't know about that. So I've actually been completely blind on Starfield. I've not watched.
Oh, I apologize. It was on IG. It was the IGN exclusive. I assumed you had to know.
I ignore it. I did not. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's just I played a lot of games that have encumbrance, and then I did that coming off of Elden Ring, and I was like, why are we doing this? Like,
I get you.
We've seen it's not necessary, and I just. Not necessary in a lot of games anymore.
Gio has a super chat regarding this.
Yeah, Gio. If I'm correct, Travis didn't like Death Stranding, but the limit of what you can carry was set about all combined. Is that not a good way?
I didn't like Death Stranding because it's a very boring game. That is.
I tried, Ains.
Yeah. It's a very boring game with a bad story that seems obsessed with itself as art. And I just. It has nothing to do with the encumbrance system.
Travis, look.
There we go. He did it. He did it. He did it.
You can't get me this riled up at the tail end of the stream. All right, we'll do a Death Stranding video too.
Oh man,
good. We will. We will, Hogue.
Oh my god. Gio, thank you for the super chat. Can you tell it's been 3 weeks since we've properly sat down
right?
a normal Bitcast, because we are all over the place today.
Oh, I'm having fun. Ames is gonna give me a talking to after this episode.
Not at all.
He's gonna be like, "Can you guys calm down? We're trying to be professional. That's part of our brand."
No, we're having a good time. All right, so about 30 minutes ago, we were talking about Summer Games Fest. And what to expect there. I did want to add this last comment, if we can circle back 30 minutes ago, which is that Jeff Keighley has said that you can actually watch Summer Games Fest in IMAX theaters around the country, and tickets go on sale May 12th, which is 4 days from now as we're recording this. So for some reason, if you want to go to IMAX and watch this big theater production of Summer Games Fest, you are able to do that.
Let's do it, man.
No. Well, I mean, honestly, I mean, it's not. I presented it as a joke cadence, but no. Video games present on my television screen. That's where they belong anyway. And there's really no reason to give that up. I guess the notion is other people who might be as interested would be there, maybe, but no.
It's not going to smell great.
Okay. You're not helping the gamer class of person, Dan.
I'm just saying.
Captain Crunch said you can watch ads on IMAX. Oof. Oh boy.
Bro.
Well, am I wrong? Do any of the other panelists, would they be interested in something like that?
I think what Keighley is trying to do, right, is to say that when you think about a movie experience, you think about it in big budget IMAX theaters, right? And I guess what he's trying to sell is that if you're going to see a bunch of kind of big production game trailers to get you excited for the games, the best way or the broadest way to watch that would be on an IMAX screen in a theater.
So because candidly, and this is no slight on Jeff, because I think he does a lot of good stuff in the video game industry. What I hear is looking for another revenue stream. I mean, that's literally what I hear.
Sounds like a slide on Jeff.
You know what? I'm always looking for another revenue stream. If you'd like to like and subscribe to this channel and help us grow on YouTube, or submit more super chats, every little bit helps. I have no problem with the grift. I just don't see it as anything else. I don't see a usefulness to the product.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll be the token. The token.
Tell me why it would be cool.
Man. I think this is. Gamers like to gather and hang out with their peers. One, there's an accessibility factor. Not everybody has like a big TV. Some people just watch things on their phones and laptops, and I think that probably is an inferior experience to people that have like home entertainment systems. And so I think that would be good. Two, I think gamers do like community and hang out with each other. They go to conventions and like-minded. And there's also something about being in a crowd of people cheering about like E3 announcements and stuff that happens, because I've been in those conference halls, the E3 showcases, Bethesda Showcase, Sony Showcase, and it kind of has like a special energy when there's people around you like freaking out about an announcement and clapping. So I think there's some value in that. And also I would do it if like I could do it with like the IGN crew and we were all like typing up news in real time there, if it had desk space or whatever, because that used to be how we'd cover it in E3. And so I would only use it in that way. I have a home theater system. I don't like being around other people, so I'm probably not the target audience for it, but I do think it has value to certain groups and certain people. So what's the harm in offering it as an option, as long as it's not a theater exclusive? what does it hurt to do it?
So I would agree with everything you said. The only thing I would say is Jeff has to prove to me that this is suitable for a theater experience like an E3 conference that we would have gotten in the past, right? Xbox showed that last year, the 90-minute, I think we all agreed that they nailed their conference last year. If you were telling me I could go watch Xbox's 90-minute Xbox Bethesda conference, I'd probably go do that. Jeff hasn't shown to me that he can run a clean show, to all jokes aside, without ads, without interjections, without all these other things that are I don't really care to sit in a theater to watch.
Right.
So we'll have to see how he presents Summer Game Fest this year.
Well, and I'd be interested in seeing if we get any reports on actual uptake. And if we don't, that tells its own story.
Probably.
But I would be interested. And Travis, I think I take your argument. People do like to get together often, but I just don't see it. To me, the people that would be most excited about this kind of thing, playing games at home, which is where you play games, probably have a pretty good setup to play those games in most cases.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, Linus says, I agree. Travis typing a game with group does indeed feel different than watching announcements in solitude. For sure. Usually what I do now.
It's very cool. Such energy. You know?
It is. Usually what I've done to try and replicate it to some degree is we get in an Xbox Live party, right? And we're all talking while we're watching at home. So that's fun to do. But yeah, we'll see. Again, I don't know what the show's going to be like. Jeff hasn't shown me a show that's clean cut like a normal E3 presentation yet. I hope he does, but he hasn't done
you know who's going to get to experience this at least a little bit is our chat and everybody that they invite, because we are going to be reacting live to the Xbox showcase. Did I get that right? I believe you announced that earlier in the episode. I think I agreed to it. I never who knows. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in reacting with a group, I can think of no better group than the Bitcast here. Tell your friends and we'll experience it together without any of Dan's horrible offered smells.
We'll talk about encumbrance the entire time.
Travis will go off on a sequence. It'll just be Starfield videos. You'll be trying to hear what they're saying, and it'll be saying, "Oh God, you can tell. Look at that encumbrance menu."
Starfield will definitely have encumbrance at some system.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, but seriously, come check it out with us. We'll have fun. We'll have fights. You know us now.
It's only a month away. It's not long, so yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Before we head out, I want to ask you guys your quick opinion. We'll see. So Square Embracer Group, you guys mentioned them earlier, right? The big thing that came out last Monday, so almost a week ago now. So Embracer Group came out $300 million. They spent on 3 studios. So Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square-Enix Montreal, previously Square-Enix, obviously, along with the Tomb Raider, Deus Ex IPs, Legacy of Kain, Thief, and what they describe in the press release as over 50 back catalog titles. So I believe they now own the rights to a back catalog.
It looks like Eidos and Crystal Dynamics. It looks like everything they made.
Yeah. So they can control those, of course. Very interesting announcement. Square Enix's response to this was the $300 million will be invested in blockchain, AI, and cloud for their future.
Oh, that's not quite what they said.
That is what they said.
No, they said they're increasing their allocative efficiencies on their current methods, which will include future-looking technologies such as blockchain, AI, and the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, Ains, all right. You're a business guy. We're seasoned gaming here, right? But what they said was, we're not going to waste as much money on Western studios we don't understand. We're going to use it on stuff that is our strength. We're going to work within our core competencies, and here, investors, are some words you recognize. That is what they said.
Yes, agreed.
But there's no indication.
You understand how Ains and lots of people online are getting to that conclusion, though, right? It's divesting from one thing and investing in another thing, and that thing that they're divesting from people love and investing in something.
I called my virtual reality episode "Gas versus Single Player," so yes, I do understand, but I just want to be clear that they didn't say that the money that they're getting, the $300 million, isn't going into those things. The primary allocative efficiency they're referring to is no longer having to run those Western studios because they just threw up their hands in the air and said, we don't understand it.
Fair enough.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, I'm literally talking about the statement they made. It's in the press release.
But you said the $300 million will be spent on that, and that's not what
yeah, okay.
That's not what they said.
He's a lawyer, bro.
I know, I get it. I get it, but you corrected the very specific wording and then went to say, here's what they said, which was your interpretation of what they said. That's not.
No, what they said was going to those things was allocative efficiency.
That's their statement, correct. But then you said what they're saying is they're throwing their arms up in the air about Western studios and saying that we can't generally care about this. We're going to put the money into things that we believe is the future. which is, I'm agreeing with you 100%. But again, you're taking that from what they said.
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to yield on this. The important part is that it's not an easy equation like that. And there's really realistically no reason to believe that Square-Enix proper has grand plans for NFTs or anything right now. They just realized that Crystal Dynamics isn't the right team to make a Marvel's Avengers, and they want to continue pursuing that course in some respect within their studios.
100%. Yeah. Saying I agree with you that saying they legitimately are just spending all $300 million on blockchain, AI, and cloud is not accurate. But to your point, what they're saying is we're not managing this well, right? This arm, we're going to take this money and invest it in what we believe is going to be the better thing for our future.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, I call it pitch virtual reality episode. It's called Gas versus Single Player. I mean, like that was the obvious takeaway.
Yeah. So
they want games as a service. It's popular these days.
Yeah, so it's interesting if nothing else. I mean, Embracer Group, if you look at their IP ownership and studio ownership right now, it's vast.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
They also own Asmodee, which makes a lot of the tabletop RPGs that I enjoy and board games. If you guys if there's any dice rollers out there.
Embracer might as well be called AA Studios. I mean, like they own everything you can think of. They own everything that you can think of that isn't like obviously tied to one of the big platform holders or other giant parties. Yeah.
Someone created a pie chart of the ownership of IP and studios, and Embracer it's huge.
They own Volition. They own Gearbox. It's literally everything that you can think of that you're like, wait,
THQ.
Wait, Nordic. Who does own that?
Yeah,
THQ Nordic is a fake entity that is Embracer.
But yeah, exactly. With all the IPs that come with that. But they also announced during this whole thing that a new Tomb Raider is in development as well. Which as I understand it, I actually never played the third
even
one,
more
which I'm
grounded.
ashamed to say. The what?
It's going to be even more grounded. I mean, Lara Croft, you're going to be in graduate school, have to get her studies up before she can even go out.
Look, Travis is already getting excited. Careful.
You have to
parents that care about me enough to ground me? I'm in.
Oh man. So I mean,
the new trilogy, by the way. I'm just making fun.
Yeah, so just another thing. We'll see. And obviously the prevailing rumor right now is the Eastern, or what remains of Square-Enix, which I think Jeff Grubb and others have commented on, is potentially going to be working out a deal with Sony. I don't know if that's still in the play or not, but that's what everyone's been talking about, but we'll see, right?
So there's a version of the world in which this was a pre-merger spinoff, right? Because Sony says Sony says we've got our theatrical experience studios, we don't need that stuff, so we don't want it to be part of your assets. The $300 million cost presents its own questions, which is like, that's low for what they say they bought in terms of both size and IP portfolio. So there's suggestions that there's debt they called it cash-free, debt-free. There's things you can do to make that still true, that say, that asset number seems low. And in that particular case, that could be a spinoff of bad assets as well. So
yeah,
I would say that there is at least a material chance that it is a pre-merger transaction, but I wouldn't place it at higher than 50-50.
Fair enough.
Mm.
And to be fair, I don't care either way.
I don't want Sony to run Square-Enix. That's just me. It's just because of buckets, right? We talked about this with Microsoft. I want there to be more CEOs and boards that are looking at what they want to make to get you different flavors. I worry about flavor consolidation. I'm not worried about industry consolidation. I'm just worried about having fewer flavors to choose.
They're the same thing.
Well, they're not. Well, I think they could be, depending on who you're talking to.
Consolidates, it only has fewer flavors, right? Because it's more consolidated.
I think, yes, I guess that's a part of the issue, and that's the main part for me. I think others worry about economics and things like that, which I'm not as worried about. I think they're essentially creating very competitive conglomerates, which will continue to be competitive, and you'll continue to get good output from them. I actually mean, as an artistic endeavor, which we don't usually talk about with a consolidation, I worry about the art getting diluted.
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. I think that's fair. I think the Embracer thing this week, I'm fine with, because it's not really consolidation. It's one big entity selling to another big entity. And doing so with IPs and studios that they weren't handling particularly well. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried about that. I'd be more worried if, Square-Enix as a company stopped being a company and got acquired by Embracer or something like that. So I'm cool with this. Hopefully Square-Enix manages to stay alive and keep doing what they're doing without selling off more, because usually you sell off a large division of your kind of market domination is a signal that you're maybe trying to get out of that specific market or minimize what you're doing. We've seen it with was it Konami that went into pachinko machines, basically gave up on
slot
video games
machines,
a while ago.
They
They went and followed the money. They were making a lot more money doing that.
They for sure were, but it's also a sign that they're kind of pivoting as a business, which I think Square Enix probably is doing. Yeah. So we'll see.
Well, I would not. I love Sony, but I would not love Final Fantasy being run by them.
I would hope that Embracer Group just takes the rest eventually. We'll see. It's a Scandinavian studio. I think it's Swedish actually. We should ask our Swede in the chat here.
Embracer Group.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, the parent company. Yeah.
What's Krona? They just announced their deal in Krona.
Yeah, that's Swedish.
Okay,
that's Swedish.
Yeah, because remember we got that super chat in Krona, or remember it had an emblem, and I was like, I have no idea what that is, and I think we looked it up.
I just know I just read through their press release because Embracer. I'm used to reading American company press releases being very terse and like kind of hidden and always puffery, and like their press release is like, hey, here's what we're planning on doing with it. Here's why it might work. Here's why it might not. I was like, whoa, this is sweet.
Super honest. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. It's very long too.
Too funny. Oh, there you go. He said that could be any of the three nations. Actually,
Krona does not answer the question. Sorry.
I'm like 90% sure it's a Swedish company, but yeah. I think it's probably better in their hands than in Square Enix's at this point with what they were doing.
I don't have a problem with the purchase at all. Once you get that annual report from Square, that's essentially. I don't think it was quite as bad as was reported on in the outlets, but they're a bad match for pursuing that gas kind of concept. Then Square Enix was either going to say we're not going to make them do that anymore, or we're going to offload them if that's what we're looking to do. So they offloaded them, and I think that's a better place. One thing Embracer says very loudly in their press release is we fully believe in the future of AAA single player games, and so that's what we're going to pursue with them.
You hear that, Dan?
I'm like, yeah.
I think we just got the first Embracer Group fanboy. Damn.
Well, that's the reason I called it that is because of that Square line that Ains read and Embracer in the middle of their press release saying that essentially we believe in single player games, which almost comes as a non sequitur, except in the context. And you're like, okay, so this is Square Enix selling off their single player, because they just released Guardians of the Galaxy, which was my game of the year last year, and unexpectedly so. They are working on a current Tomb Raider. They're working on things that aren't obviously gas or live services related. And that's their specialty. That's been their specialty for, 30 years. Crystal Dynamics has been around forever, as has Eidos. So
this is also not Square Enix's first selling off. They also sold off IO Interactive. Well, they let them buy their independence and the Hitman IP, but that was sort of like the first signal to me that maybe they were.
What's weird about that is it's like that you look at Square and it's like, regrets? You got any regrets on that
For
one?
sure,
Yeah.
right?
That's obviously a live services type of model you can run with Hitman, and they're good at it. Square, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean it's also hard to keep a company that doesn't want to work for you, as Microsoft learned with Bungie and stuff. So might have just been a more of a practical sell-off. That's what I was hoping it was, but now that they're selling off more to Embracer, I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna be doing games for much longer, at least as we know them.
Yeah, so Linus, thank you. You said it could be Swedish, Danish, or Norwegian krona, but it is probably Swedish. And sure enough, I'm on the press release right now, and it shows Embracer Group is 70. Their stock price is 70.75 Swedish krona. So there you go.
I'm sorry, I don't remember. It designates it as Swedish. I'm sorry.
Say it again.
Oh, nothing. I was just apologizing for not remembering that it said Swedish.
Oh, yeah, I didn't remember either. But yeah, and as you said, it says Embracer believes there will be increasingly strong demand for high-quality content, including AAA single-player games over the next decade.
Yeah,
we aim to continue working
I
with
think
leading
they're
platforms.
right.
I think they're right, too.
I think games as a service will always make more money, but I think there's going to be a huge increase in interest for single-player games.
If I could have been a fly on the wall when Embracer was starting its roll-up plan here, I bet part of the thesis statement was these companies are going to go pursuing those gold rings too quickly and too fast, and they're going to leave undervalued assets that we can roll up in their wake. I mean, I could probably write their business plan from when it started up, I think, based on what we can now see in retrospect.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah. Linus, thank you for the info. He also says Sweden has become quite the powerhouse in terms of programming export. Town nearby, that has several indie studios, and a lot of people study programming there to become game developers. So a lot of headhunting in their universities. So that's cool insight, man. That's why I love having people from around the world join, because a lot of things that we just wouldn't know here. So
Embracer is a cool thing because it's a financial play first and foremost, and then they're letting most of the groups run independently. It's essentially a loose consortium.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's interesting to follow whether that'll work, because if it can, that represents some good stuff to come potentially with other financial resources going and trying to maximize assets a little bit better in the industry, and you'd have re-consolidation on different grounds. We're in an era of very interesting business stuff for video games, probably this whole decade.
Yeah. It's good for your
to me, at least.
Yeah. It's good for virtual legality, right? So, all right, boys. Well, I'm going to have to try and clip out as best I can your discussion on encumbrance, although the clip is going to be far too long for Twitter, so I can't do that. But we'll leave the Call of Duty news to next week. But I think, been a good chat today. It's good to get back to our normal, I use that term loosely, normal conversation around gaming. And a lot of good people in the chat today. Thank you guys so much.
Is there a Halo finale soon? I don't know how many episodes that season is.
9 episodes, season 1. So 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Because I definitely want to hear your summary of the Halo TV show. I'm in for that.
Yeah.
We'll book a separate hour for that.
Ames explains the Halo television program.
Explains is a strong word.
Yeah, it'll be at least
answers for Halo.
Oof, no, it's even worse.
I feel like Ains explaining the first season will be just like 70% sighing. It'll just be lots of.
Dude, Ains, I'm not sure why we don't have a rhyming titled series for you called Ains Explains. Just colon and then like different things.
That'd be a short series.
Short series.
We got a late super chat got a super chat right at the tail end here.
Hey,
Chelsea Nagy in the house.
You have to say all the emojis, Dan.
You're on mute.
It's hard to see because all those little things, it's yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So
the weird thing is on YouTube, they look different than they do when I put it on the screen here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen.
Oh, yeah.
So weird.
Anyway, we're waving.
Applause.
Hi, Chelsea.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Those are claps.
Oh, claps. I thought they were waves.
No, they're waves. They're waves on Oh no, you're right. They are claps.
They're the claps.
Holy
man.
clap! They are claps.
Yeah, no. So you have to read this, Dan, as Chelsea Nagy. Thank you. Clapping emoji. 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 Clapping emoji.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to understand why his stream was 9 hours.
I got a few super chats.
Yes. Thank you, Chelsea. Appreciate you. And with that, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up. Not too much happening on SG this week. I did put the conversation I had with content creator ACG is live on our channel.
Stuff, people.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's live for everyone right now, and he encouraged everyone to check it out. Fun conversation with ACG, Jeremy Penter, his real name, of course. So check that out. And the review of Trek to Yomi, the season gaming review from Steve is up as well.
Second best review of that game.
I'll read both. I'll read both.
Review it?
Who's better next week?
What's that?
Did Mitch review it?
Oh, how dare you! Sir. How dare you? You know, it's funny. I had a conversation with Mitch today. We were talking about games we've reviewed, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Look at this. In February, I reviewed 3 games that were equal in score combined to the one game you reviewed that month."
Can we have like a rivals episode, and we can invite Mitch on to talk with Travis and us?
I could get him to come on. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, all right. We'll talk about it off stream. I think it would be fun.
That'd be fun. But other than that, let me have you guys shout out where you're at. So Travis, hit us up.
Yeah. I'm working on a ton of content. You can review my Trek to Yomi review on IGN.com right after you've read the season gaming one. I think you'll. I think your reviewer was higher on it than me. I'm not sure.
He gave it an 8.
An 8. Okay, yeah. So He's a paid shill. And obviously
he's definitely not that.
he's an unpaid shill. Yeah. But yeah, so you can read my review on IGN.com of that. I also did my first long form video on IGN.com, an over 20-minute video that is a guide to Destiny's newest raid, which you can find right now. Pretty interesting if you care about Destiny at all. I did that.
I do care about Destiny. You got to do something more generalized though. So
okay, well that. I guess the content this was a project Destin put me on because apparently that's something people look for. So it's like
I bet.
Yeah. And then I'm also reviewing the new Evil Dead game that's
nice.
out.
I'm super pumped for that.
Who's that?
I'm super pumped for that. Yeah. I'm a big Evil Dead fan, and
if you want to play it with me, Ains, I've got codes aplenty. So
let's talk off stream, Trev.
Talk off stream. We can do it together. But yeah, I'm reviewing that right now, so that I think will be live either end of next week or early the week after that, depending on how quick I am able to get it done. But it is an online multiplayer game, so I've got to work around available server times and early access and that sort of stuff. So other than that, you can watch me talk about Destiny Thursday nights at 4 p.m. Pacific. You can find me here on Bitcast, and I think I'm also going to be on Boomstick's show next week.
Did he invite you? That's awesome.
Yeah, he invited me to that, so that should be fun. So keeping busy.
All right. Speaking of keeping busy, the good segue, Mr. Hogue himself.
Hey, yeah, I'm having fun. You can see me everywhere. If you turn on the internet, you might just see me, depending on where you're looking. I have been on about 60 hours of streams this week. And those are primarily on one of my good YouTube friends, Legal Bites channel, who has been covering the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. So I've been, I think she calls me Goose, which always frightens me because Goose doesn't make it. Spoiler alert. As co-captain of the stream, talking about everything that's going on in that trial, how objections work, how rules of evidence work, reacting to witness testimony and whatnot like that. And then on my stream on youtube.com/HoagLaw, you can, of course, continue to find virtual legality episodes like I covered Embracer, buying up portions of Square-Enix. I've covered various things like, no, it's not that terribly big of a deal that the Federal Trade Commission is looking further at Sony and Bungie. Don't panic. To which I put the little cutie alien from Hitchhiker's Guide next to a giant don't panic. And someone said that I was an Xbox shill because I had a mocking green orb talking about Sony and Bungie. In any event, I also did a 10. What?
Paid shill.
Yeah. Paid shill. Xbot. I get a lot. Anyway, I also did my first hangout, discuss the Amber Johnny trial, but also headlines related to that yesterday, which turned out to be 10 hours. So if you're looking to talk with me and fellow LawTube members, my lawyer friends who've been going over this with us, for some portion of 10 hours, you got 10 hours of Hogue content on the channel right now. So if that sounds good to you, I have questions. But please do come in and check it out. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at HoagLaw. I'm, if you can't tell, a little tired, but having a great time doing all this stuff. And I'm still so happy to be a part of this particular broadcast, the Bitcast. Like and subscribe. And then, that's all I got, Ains.
I think I like Tired Hogue. He's a little spicy, a little dangerous.
I feel like start just to go full nerd. I feel like my motion regulator chip is just like a little weak.
Yeah, for sure.
Dan joined by his partner in crime over there. What's dog's name again, dude? I forget.
It's Bean.
Bean, that's right. Does Bean want to promote anything?
No. He basically let loose. I don't know what he ate, but I've been dying here for like the last 2 hours. That's all he's been doing. So with that, that's where I'll be. Getting some breeze and opening some windows again.
Don't put him in a different room, man. Lock him out.
Yeah, then he'll start barking. It'll be a mess.
All right, and Pampa is calling for an Evil Dead 4-player stream from the four of us, by the way. So
let's do it
to check that out. Anyway, as always,
the game's good. I'm a big fan of. Oh God, what's the one where you put people on hooks? Oh well.
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, DBD. Yep. Okay. I love Dead by Daylight.
Okay, cool. I tried to play the Evil Dead beta, the private whatever they had a few weeks ago, and I literally couldn't play it. You know why? Because they had no option to invert your controls. I couldn't play it.
Weird.
Yeah.
Also, Hogue, I know this has nothing to do with anything, but the other lawyer gamer that I know, who I'm friends with, he plays my tabletop RPG with me. He also is a big fan of Dead by Daylight, so maybe it's a lawyer thing.
Dead by Daylight is probably my favorite kind of at least arena-ish multiplayer game. Like that's the only thing it does. That's my favorite one of those.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's obsessed with it. So
nice. All right. On that note, fellas, we are going to head out. Thanks as always for tuning in to Bitcast. As Rick said, we still got a lot of you that probably tune in weekly who need to check us out on Twitter, both the Season Gaming account and the Season Gaming Bitcast account, separate accounts. Check us out there. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you're liking about the show, what we can do better. Ask us a question. We're happy to check it all out. Until then, we will see you next week with episode 202. Until then, peace.